Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 235, I think it was. Today we got Rob joining us to talk about UFO cases, where UFOs have left damage to people and cars and whatnot. So I'm just going to kick off the intro and hopefully it all sounds alright. Going down to the base. Who's joining us today out there? We've got 5 concurrent users. David, how's it going? Susan, Robert. That's all I'm seeing at the moment. Hello. Hello. Good to be back. Okay. No swearing. Be civil on the side, and let's have some fun. I'll unmute Rob. Are you there, Robert?
I am indeed.
Hey, let us know if the audio sounds alright on the mics and doesn't corrupt or cut out. If it does, let us know in the side chat. So what are we doing today, Robert?
Well, I'm going to take a walk on the darker side of ufology, but it needs to be looked at. UFOs and the relationship with physical injuries and physical effects. And we're going to look at 2 cases in particular, the Landrum incident of 1980 and John Burroughs, who was one of the Bentwaters witnesses who actually touched the craft on the ground there, or sometimes known as the Rendelsham UFO incident as well, and the physical effects on him. And then we'll move on to something even darker, fatalities and what have you. But okay. But we can get started with the Landrum case. Dayton, Texas, 1980. Pretty shocking case, which ended up in a big lawsuit.
That seems to be wider for some reason. Hang on, let me just adjust this. See how that goes. Yep. Okay, I got some pictures of the Cash, Betty Cash, I think it was. I'm not sure who the other woman name was. Landrum. So
Landrum, and yeah, it was actually Betty Cash and Vicky Landrum, and there was also Colby the son,
right,
who was in the back of the car. Colby Landrum. I think he was only about 9 years old at the time. Hello, mate. I've got a little problem with my antivirus here. It's trying to block this site for some reason. I'm just going to get rid of the damn stupid thing.
Yeah. That's kind of annoying when that sort of happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about this Diamond UFO incident.
Yeah. The what?
The Diamond UFO.
Diamond UFO. Oh, yes, it was described as diamond shaped. Yes.
Security team used to talk about it on that pilot video, right? Which you get the diamond shape if you got the wrong focal length on the camera settings, where you zoom right out.
Yeah. But there was no photographs taken of this, Paul. This was eyewitness accounts.
Yeah. I just talked about Tyler's one that he said it was. He said it was a shame. He said it was a ship returning, but I think this might have been. I always thought this one was a Black Ops experiment gone wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that could well be the case. So we're not in disagreement there.
No, I think this relates to what Stanton Freeman was working on, actually, the fusion engine system. This one, but yeah, we'll let you present it, and I won't interfere. So yeah, we're going to this one first of all, is it?
Yeah. I mean, we can't be absolutely sure it was a black project. You know, it could have been a UFO that was.
I don't know. The helicopters is what was different about this case, though.
That's true. It sounded like an escort, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot of what do you call it? Chinook helicopters for it. But anyway, we better present it. So we're going to Dayton, Texas.
Actually, they were en route to there, right, where the incident actually happened.
Yeah, whereabouts were they then?
It was close by anyway. It was a fun. This is the only thing that makes me think it might not have been a black project. Is that it was quite close to an airport, you know, which isn't a very clever idea, is it? You know.
But it's pretty big distances there in Texas, I think. So which road were they on? Do you know? On the map?
No, I don't.
So we don't know if it's coming from this left or from the right, because this is more open between those two, Burmount and Daytona. If they're on that road there, you can see it's pretty much like a desert road along there. Okay, so or it might be one of these little country roads going to the city. So all this area here is pretty vast, you see. So whereabouts are the airports on here? I wonder. I suppose it would be near the major cities. Anyway, satellite view. I think it's mostly like country farmland, isn't it, for cattle there? Let's have a look. Looks a bit like Christchurch from above, actually, but more dry. Looks like they must have a lot of irrigation going on there to keep it that green. I guess, what's the average temperature down there in Dallas in summer? Must be like Christchurch, I'd say.
It's warm, let's say.
Oh, not in winter it might be. But yeah, and we got another link here, have we? Have we got a link to go? Shop spreadshirts? No, that's not it. Susan's doing some promotions for Discord and the Merc. You might want to put the Patreon link there as well, Susan. Thanks for promoting for us. I don't normally plug my channel, but all the links are in the description of every video anyway, but people don't bother looking. Yeah, so you need to post a link there, Robert, so we can start this.
Have you done that, Paul?
I don't see it. Hang on, let me see.
It's okay, I'll do it again.
Where have you posted it? Charles, how's it going?
There we go, mate.
I don't think I saw it there.
Hi, Charles. No, it's my fault. I didn't hit the answer button.
So you're trying to test me already. I know.
What a punker.
MUFON. Spit. You know, everybody hates MUFON for some reason lately. I don't know what's going on.
The only problem with MUFON is they don't have any competitors, you see, that they can do as they please. I suspect. And a lot of MUFON problems have been self-inflicted. But that's another story, like,
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's a big organization and it's a big country, so you got all those states have their own different people.
Mm.
So
I mean, the 60s and 70s, we were spoilt with different organizations,
Yeah. So people were saying maybe we should change our voice that we use for the reader. And what do you think about that? Stick it with the BBC guy or switch it to an American female or something like that?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Paul, always listen to the punter, because your audience is far more important than you. If they think they've got a better voice, that they know of a better piece of software than we do, then hey, cool.
I don't think it will work on here because I've crippled it because of the spyware that's added to Windows 10. But the plugins we know work, and so they're saying that if I read the page, it will actually highlight the words. So if I use where is it, up here? If I push play, it'll read the page. I think. Let me just try that, and it will highlight it. But it reads everything, I think.
Cached Landrum case minus 1980.
There you go.
The Cached Landrum incident was a reported unidentified flying object sighting from the United States in 1980, which witnesses insist was responsible for damage to their health. It is one of very few UFO cases to result in civil court proceedings. It can be classified as a close encounter of the second kind, due to its reported physical effects on the witnesses and their automobile. Incident. Skeptical ufologist Peter Brooksmith wrote, "To ufologists, the case is perhaps the most baffling and frustrating of modern times, for what started with solid evidence for a notoriously elusive phenomenon petered out in a maze of dead ends, denials, and perhaps even official deviousness." On the evening of December the 29th, 1980, Betty Cash, Vicky Landrum and Colby Landrum, Vicky's 7-year-old grandson, were driving home to Dayton, Texas in Cash's Oldsmobile Cutlass after dining out. At about 9 p.m., while driving on an isolated 2-lane road in dense woods, the witnesses said they observed a light above some trees. They initially thought the light was an airplane approaching Houston Intercontinental Airport, about 35 miles away, and gave it little notice. A few minutes later on the winding roads, the witnesses saw what they believed to be the same light as before, but it was now much closer and very bright. The light, they claimed, came...
So you can see, that's better, but it reads the whole page and you have to pause it, right? I'm not sure if it resumes on. Let's just check. I'm just having a bit of play here.
The light, they claimed,
it seems to resume, so that's all right.
Okay, stop that, because we're going to miss the points in the case now, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, that works great, fantastic, and actually you can actually follow it as well. That is superb.
But the problem is we can't do that with every web page because of the way they add all the ads on the side and stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we can test it. We can test it out to see how bad it is.
Is there a paid version?
Yeah, that's the paid version, yeah. But we got other voices, we can change the speed. We're on premium. So we're using English grammar at the moment, so we could try American voice if you want to see what people think.
Okay, but just to say now that before we get too carried away with the technical parts of it, yeah. Okay, this black budget thing that was the diamond-shaped UFO was just 35 miles away from an intercontinental airport. Doesn't sound very clever, does it? Unless I think he got into trouble and went off course, because there's a whole lot of desert out there to go testing black projects without getting noticed like that, drawing attention to yourself.
Yeah,
and an international court case which resulted.
Now let's just try this other voice anyway.
Okay.
The light, they claimed, came from a huge diamond-shaped object, which hovered at about treetop level. The object's base was expelling flame and emitting significant heat. Vicky Landrum told...
Okay. To me, it sounds a bit strange. Tracy, we could try.
Vicky Landrum told Cash to stop the car, fearing they would be burned if they approached any closer. However, Vicky's opinion of the object quickly changed. A born-again Christian, she interpreted the object as a sign of the second coming of Jesus Christ, telling her grandson, "That's Jesus. He will not hurt us." Clark, 175. Anxious, Cash considered turning the car around, but abandoned this idea because the road was too narrow and she presumed the car would get stuck on the dirt shoulders, which were soft from that evening's rains. Cash and Landrum got out of the car to examine the object. Colby was terrified, however, and Vicky Landrum quickly returned to the car to comfort the frantic child. Cash remained outside the car, mesmerized by the bizarre sight, as Jerome Clark wrote. Clark, 175, he went on, the object, intensely bright and a dull metallic silver, was shaped like a huge upright diamond, about the size of the Dayton water tower, with its top and bottom cut off so that they were flat rather than pointed. Small blue lights ringed the center, and periodically over the next few minutes flames shot out of the bottom, flaring outward, creating the effect of a large cone. Every time the fire dissipated, the UFO floated a few feet downwards toward the road. But when the flames blasted out again, the object rose about the same distance. Clark, 175. The witnesses said the heat was strong enough to make the car's metal body painful to the touch. Cash said she had to...
Yep.
Oh, no, that's not working, Paul.
What's not working?
You can't you make it go to the end of one paragraph and stop, because we can't just stop in mid paragraph. Like
I can pause it every paragraph, but I would have to do it manually. There's no way. Yeah, I don't think there's any way.
You've got no control over it.
Yeah, I don't think
it's out of control.
Anyway,
it's got a life of its own, for God's sakes.
Well, I think it's a bit better highlighting, but if we select it and read it, it doesn't work. The highlight doesn't work. But I think it's the same with all the other, things. I'm not sure if I can click there and I'll read. I don't think it works. Yeah, what's the voice? Is anyone liking that voice? The woman, the American voice? Woman, English voice would sound better. But you're English, Charles, aren't you? You're from UK. Most of our audience are USA. They're used to the American twang, as we call it in New Zealand. It's just a matter of getting used to it. So what one voice is no good for what some people is bad for others. And I like the BBC because I grew up with the BBC voice, but people...
Yeah, but that's some proper stuff. Tshirt to me, BBC.
We've got English Heather, so we could give that one a try, see if that one's any better.
Yeah, well, just
the witnesses said the heat was strong enough to make the car's metal body painful to the touch. Cash said she had to use her coat to protect her hand from being burned when she finally re-entered the car. When she touched the car's dashboard, Vicky Landrum's hand pressed into the softened vinyl. When she touched the car's dashboard, Vicky Landrum's hand pressed into the softened vinyl, leaving an imprint that was evident weeks later.
That's not too
Investigators cited this handprint as this handprint as proof of the witness's account. However, no photograph of the alleged handprint exists. The object then moved to a point higher in the sky. As it ascended over the treetops, the witnesses claimed that a group of helicopters approached the object and surrounded it in tight formation. Cash and Landrum counted 23 helicopters, and later identified some of them as tandem rotor CH-47 Chinooks used by military forces worldwide.
So it brings up the paragraph that we're going to read.
Cash drove on,
so if you want me
claiming
to
see glimpses of the object in the helicopters receding into the distance. From first sighting the object to its departure, the witnesses said the encounter lasted about 20 minutes. Based on descriptions given in John F. Schuessler's book about the incident, it appears that the observers were southbound on Texas State Highway FM 1485-2100 when they claimed to have seen the object. The initial location of the reported object, based on the same descriptions, was just south of Inland Road, approximately at 30.0926 degrees and 95.1109 degrees W. Other witnesses.
I'm getting there.
Investigators later located a Dayton police officer, Detective Lamar Walker, and his wife, who claimed to have seen 12 Chinook-type helicopters near the same area the Cash Landrum event allegedly occurred in at roughly the same time. These other witnesses did not report seeing a large diamond-shaped object.
I'll tell you,
One day in April 1981, a CH-47 flew into Dayton. As Colby watched, he became very upset. Vicky decided to take him to the spot where the helicopter had landed with the hope that it would seem less frightening on the ground. When they reached the landing zone, they found a lot of people there already and had to wait some time before they were allowed to go inside the helicopter and talk to the pilot. Vicky and another visitor both claimed that the pilot said he had been in the area before for the purpose of checking on a UFO in trouble near Huffman. When Vicky told the pilot how glad she was to see him, because she had been one of the people burned by the UFO, he refused to talk to them further and hustled them out of the aircraft. Health problems. After the UFO and
I got to put regular battery in it for the time being. Oh well, you expected some problems, didn't you? Who would know the battery was going to run out during the stream? There's no indication on these damn mice. You think there'd be like a LED indication, but it's Microsoft.
Yeah, I know. That's why I still use a wired mouse. You know, I'm sick of them going on me like that.
Yeah, normally they don't have a problem.
It's no good if it doesn't stop at the end of a paragraph, because you just can't stop in the middle of one. You know, there's no way we can analyze it then.
Yeah, it's a shame.
We've already made a complete holics of this case anyway, because we missed a lot of the facts messing about with the reader. Do you know what I mean? It takes me a week to get these cases together and everything, and then, you know, using the live as a, you know, my work as a guinea pig. You know, it's a little bit because we're not looking at the case. You see, we've kind of passed us by now, isn't it?
What's passed us by? That's only because my battery ran out, mate. I was trying to pause it for you.
Yeah, no. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about experimenting with the reader during the live. Really, we should be doing this kind of midweek. You know?
Well, you're never around, mate.
Of course I am. Damn well, you talk every single day, Paul.
Time I get up, you're gone, and time I go bed, you're just getting up, even if you show up. But anyway,
no, we can always find time for testing in midweek.
So where did we get to anyway? So where did you want me to stop? You haven't actually said.
I haven't got a clue now.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A few minutes later on, if you go from there now.
I don't.
And just, you know, if you can do like 2 or 3 paragraphs at a time, and then we can comment on it.
I can only do this one, but it won't highlight the word. I've complained about it. I don't know why they can't, but obviously.
A few minutes later on the winding roads, the witnesses saw what they believed to be the same light as before, but it was now much closer and very bright. The light, they claimed, came from a huge diamond-shaped object, which hovered at about treetop level. The object's base was expelling flame and emitting significant heat.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was. Which one was it now that actually got out of the car? It was Betty Cash, wasn't it, that got out of the car? Well, they both got out of the car. But Vicky Landrum went back into the car. But Betty Cash walked towards the object and got even closer. She was the one who suffered the most injuries. She developed a cancer after several weeks, and they were confirmed as radiation sickness. Her hair fell out. There's no question of that. Even Colby in the back seat suffered to some extent.
Yeah, I didn't see his picture. They don't seem to have his picture up, the kids. When I searched here, I didn't see his picture at all. Just the 2 females, right? Oh, there's the son. So that must be close to the age when it happened. What was he? 8 years old there?
I think he was 8 or 9 years old when it happened.
Yeah, it looks like it there.
He's quite impressionable at that age, so he recalled the event quite well.
Vicky Landrum told Cash to stop the car, fearing they would be burned if they approached any closer. However, Vicky's opinion of the object quickly changed. A born-again Christian, she interpreted the object as a sign of the second coming of Jesus Christ, telling her grandson, "That's Jesus. He will not hurt us." Clark, 175.
Well, they are religious in Texas, so
yeah, this is what you see, and of course it wasn't Jesus at all.
Well, some people think it is, demons and angels.
Yeah. She seen something outstanding and thought, it's not going to hurt us, when exactly the opposite happened.
Okay, these are small paragraphs, so I'll get a couple of them. Back to the old method, but new voice.
Anxious, Cash considered turning the car around, but abandoned this idea because the road was too narrow and she presumed the car would get stuck on the dirt shoulders, which were soft from that evening's rains. Cash and Landrum got out of the car to examine the object. Colby was terrified, however, and Vicky Landrum quickly returned to the car to comfort the frantic child. Cash remained outside the car, mesmerized by the bizarre sight, as Jerome Clark wrote. Clark, 175. He went on.
Yeah, so I tell you what, that voice actually does, it sounds more coherent than the English voice. To be honest, I don't know why, but it does.
Okay. Well, we can use it until people are sick of it and we can change it again. But yeah, you see, we got about 30 voices that we can choose from. We could even go to another country if you want to. We can go to an Indian voice if you want.
Yeah, Charles is from Bristol. I think, yes. Hi, Charles. Yeah, it's just over the border from Wales, actually.
Yeah,
that's the south border.
Yeah, I do like the highlighting of words, but I don't. Maybe they'll fix it up, But I think, I think somehow it needs the full page to be able to work out where it is in the page. But But I don't understand why it can't do it there. Because it would be in the clipboard, right? If I click on that. I suppose it's not going to come down now. See, it should actually have the next chunk for you. Yeah, but anyway. Perhaps you have to read it first.
The object, intensely bright and a dull metallic silver, was shaped like a huge upright diamond, about the size of the Dayton water tower, with its top and bottom cut off so that they were flat rather than pointed. Small blue lights ringed the center, and periodically over the next few minutes flames shot out of the bottom, flaring outward, creating the effect of a large cone. Every time the fire dissipated, the UFO floated a few feet downwards toward the road. But when the flames blasted out again, the object rose about the same distance. Clark, 175.
Yeah, so is that how a fusion reactor would work? What's your thoughts on that, Paul? If it was Black Project.
Well,
don't know.
What was the characteristics here? Flames, did they say?
Yeah.
Next few minutes, flames shot out of the bottom. Well, it's obviously going to create a lot of energy, right? Energy is heat.
Yeah, it's whatever it is, it sounds like it's in awful trouble.
Flared outward, creating an effect of a large cone. So yeah, sounds like it's coming from a jet and expanding as it's ejecting it out. Dissipated. Well, flames. So normally a fusion engine heats up water, and then the water powers a electric turbine, which then they convert into other forms of power, like electric motor or whatever, hydrogen fusion cell. How would that work? Well, I think they had a lot of problems with the fusion engines that they're trying to work on. Well, fission. They're actually fission, not fusion. They're working on fission engines when Stanton Freeman was, which is the same as an atomic bomb, right? So it's going to give off radiation. Well, fusion doesn't give off any radiation. because you got the hydrogen bomb. It uses a fission fuse to ignite the hydrogen, and the hydrogen bomb's like 100 times more powerful than what was dropped on Japan.
Yeah, and I understand that, but it's still going to get pretty messy if it crashes, isn't it, Paul?
Only for the fuse. The only radiation comes from the fuse, not the hydrogen, because it's a fusion reaction, right? It starts the chain reaction off, creates a big explosion.
Yeah.
So we're talking about fission here. So it's creating flames at the bottom. Sounds very strange for a fission engine.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I asked you.
But it might be, we'd have to look up.
How were they doing? If it was military, what the hell were they doing? And what the hell were they doing it there?
Yeah, I think I did look up the diagram of how the fusion engine was working on a live, probably quite a few months back now. But I'd have to check out the process of how they were doing rocket engines.
There was I think UFO Hunters done a documentary on this. I know UFO Hunters was Bill Burns, wasn't it? It tends to believe in kind of anything. But they dug up the whole road, and they dug down. No, they didn't dig up the whole road. They dug down deep, and they reckoned the whole place had been recovered, so there was no sign of radiation on the road surface. After the incident.
Unfortunately, I think tarmac has a natural radiation to it. I kind of remember reading about that before. I think
not unsafe levels, but maybe just above normal reading. Yes,
and of course depends on what sort of mix they used for making the road as well. Some mines actually are radioactive, and they might have mixed in radioactive material. But yeah, it's quite strange that that spot on the road was removed though. But yeah, I could look up debunks and do searches on nuclear engines if you wanted to, and just see how they work. But we're best to carry on with the story.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
The object then moved to a point higher in the sky. As it ascended over the treetops, the witnesses claimed that a group of helicopters approached the object and surrounded it in tight formation. Cash and Landrum counted 23 helicopters, and later identified some of them as tandem rotor CH-47 Chinooks used by military forces worldwide. With the road now clear, Cash drove on, claiming to see glimpses of the object in the helicopters receding into the distance. From first sighting the object to its departure, the witnesses said the encounter lasted about 20 minutes. Based on descriptions given in John F. Schuessler's book about the incident, it appears that the observers were southbound on Texas State Highway FM 1485-2100 when they claimed to have seen the object. The initial location of the reported object, based on the same descriptions, was just south of Inland Road, approximately at 30.0926 degrees and 95.1109 degrees W.
Okay, it's got GPS coordinates here. So
do you ever recall? I think it was on the Larry King show. They had live with Stanton Friedman and Betty and Cash Landrum, where Bill Moore was on the show as well. And Bill Moore was the guy who went in cahoots with the likes of Condor and Falcon. He called them the Avery. Remember that? Where
no.
got involved with these spooks. These intelligence people said they'd exchange information about UFOs with Bill Moore if he was to infiltrate the UFO community for them and tell them what the UFO people were up to. And Bill Moore invited them onto this show. And they turned round and they said that the object that was at this incident, the Cash Landrum incident, was a reverse engineered UFO.
So that's
driven by humans. Wait there, let me finish my story, Paul. Driven by humans. And then they went on to say that these aliens had swapped information with the government in an exchange program. And the aliens enjoyed Tibetan music and strawberry ice cream.
Yeah, that was live cover-up series. That was in '88, wasn't it?
Yeah,
ice cream.
It was in the late '80s. Yeah, strawberry ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah. But it may have been repeated on other shows after
they made
that.
An absolute fool of Bill Moore and Stanton Friedman.
Why
fool of the whole show?
Yeah. Did they try other flavors of ice cream though?
Oh, good God! And I mean, it was obviously disinformation, and it was there to make a fool out of the UFO community, and it was probably there to cover up a black budget project, which this probably was.
We got someone plugging the UFO. Just join.
We can check it out afterwards, but we can't do it now.
No. To Facebook group. Okay. So where do we get to?
No, you need to go back from that map, Paul. I do rely on you to keep in touch with, where you left off with the.
Yeah, I was finding the location on the map they were talking about. Inland Road, approximately Blair. Texas State Highway. Claimed to have seen the object, so that's where they saw it. So it's not so remote, really. It's right next to the town edge here.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is the whole point I was saying. So it either wasn't the Black Project, or it's a Black Project that's gone horribly off course. Hence, it was escorted by so many helicopters, so they could, if it did actually go down, they could clean up the flaming mess before anyone noticed.
Right, there's a big chunk of land here, right?
Yeah, I know, but it's still one hell of a risky business,
Well, it probably was high up in the atmosphere and went wrong and it come down quickly.
Yeah. Then again, it couldn't have been that high up because helicopters don't fly at particularly high altitudes, do they?
No. I'm just going to try and mute my mic here while I eat something. Let me know if you can hear me still. Can you hear me? Am I still? Yeah, I'm still being heard. Yeah, I'm going to have to use the headset mute. I'll just read out this next chunk anyway. Where's the mute button on this?
Other witness investigators later located a Dayton police officer, Detective Lamar Walker, and his wife who claimed to have seen 12 Chinook-type helicopters near the same area the Landrum event allegedly occurred in at roughly the same time. These other witnesses did not report seeing a large diamond-shaped object. One day in April 1981, a CH-47 flew into Dayton. As Colby watched, he became very upset. Vicky decided to take him to the spot where the helicopter had landed with the hope that it would seem less frightening on the ground. When they reached the landing zone, they found a lot of people there already and had to wait some time before they were allowed to go inside the helicopter and talk to the pilot. Vicky and another visitor both claimed that the pilot said he had been in the area before for the purpose of checking on a UFO in trouble near Huffman. When Vicky told the pilot how glad she was to see him, because she had been one of the people burned by the UFO, he refused to talk to them further and hustled them out of the aircraft.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure Paul's back in a minute, so I can't hear him talking. But one of the most upsetting parts of this case is that UFO researchers persuaded Cash and Vicky Landrum that to go into this as a lawsuit. It was a £2 million lawsuit, and they had two chances of winning. One was no chance, and the other one was no chance. So all these so-called UFO researchers then was put them under financial strain. They were already traumatized by the incident and had health problems. So it just shows how ridiculous the UFO community can be. I presume Paul's back so I can see the cursor moving around.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Paul.
I just eaten, so you don't want to hear me eating. So
just read a bit more if you want, and I'll comment on it, Paul.
Yeah, just ask me if you wanted me to come back and talk. Yes.
Health problems after the UFO and helicopters left, Cash took the Landrums home, then retired for the evening. That night, they all experienced similar symptoms, though Cash to a greater degree. All suffered from nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, generalized weakness, a burning sensation in their eyes, and feeling as though they'd suffered sunburns. Over the next few days, Cash's symptoms worsened, with many large, painful blisters forming on her skin. When taken to a hospital emergency room on January 3, 1981, Clark writes, Cash could not walk and had lost large patches of skin and clumps of hair. She was released after 12 days, though her condition was not much better, and she later returned to the hospital for another 15 days. Clark, 176. The Landrums' health was somewhat better, though both suffered from lingering weakness, skin sores and hair loss. A radiologist who examined the witnesses' medical records for Muffin wrote, "We have strong evidence that these patients have suffered secondary damage to ionizing radiation. It is also possible that there was an infrared or ultraviolet component as well." Quoted in Clark, 176. However, Brad Sparks contends that, although the symptoms were somewhat similar to those caused by ionizing radiation, the rapidity of onset was only consistent with the massive dose that would have meant certain death in a few days. Since all of the victims lived for years after the incident, Sparks suggests the cause of the symptoms was some kind of chemical contamination, presumably by an aerosol.
I don't think so, because all those symptoms are classic signs of radiation poisoning, hair loss, everything else. Okay, it could have been some chemical contamination. Presuming, I don't know. That sounds like a covert to me. It sounds like BS bullshit. But the thing is, although which one was it now? Betty Cash, she got the worst of it. She lived for, I think it was 18 years after the incident or more. I'm not sure now, but she was riddled with cancer the whole time. She was in and out of chemo the whole time, so it wasn't a pleasant life from that time on, And I suppose the lawsuit and everything else, that would have stressed out. I often wonder about these UFO people that persuaded her, to try and take the military to task, actually paid anything towards her legal bills. Because I think they were fairly simple people, and I'm not really sure how they could possibly afford to take the military to come. They were never going to win, were they? Let's face it, without absolute hard, solid evidence. I mean, anecdotal evidence is never going to win against the military in the court of law. It would be groundbreaking, unprecedented if they did. They didn't have a chance, not a hope. But they was persuaded to do so against the better judgment. But there we go. Someone's responsible for that. I'd like to know who those so-called researchers were.
Investigations. Vicki Landrum telephoned a number of U.S. government agencies and officials about the encounter. When she telephoned NASA, Landrum was steered toward NASA aerospace engineer John Schuessler, long interested in UFOs. With some associates from civilian UFO research group Muffin, Schuessler began research on the case, and later wrote articles and a book on the subject. Astronomer Alan Henry of UFOs also briefly investigated the Cash Landrum case. Due to the Chinook helicopter's presence, the witnesses presumed that at least one branch of the United States Armed Forces witnessed the object, if they were not escorting or pursuing it. However, investigators could find no evidence linking the helicopters with any branch of the military. In 1982, Lieutenant Colonel George Sarin of the Department of the Army Inspector General began the only thorough formal governmental investigation into the supposed UFO encounter. He could not find any evidence that the helicopters the witnesses claimed to have seen belonged to the U.S. Armed Forces. Sarin stated that Miss Landrum and Miss Cash were credible. The policeman and his wife, who claimed to have seen 12 helicopters near the UFO encounter site, were also credible witnesses. There was no perception that anyone was trying to exaggerate the truth. Quoted in Clark, 177. In 1998, journalist and UFO skeptic Philip J. Klass found a few reasons to doubt the story by Cash and Landrum. When Schuessler inspected Betty's car in early 1981 and used a Geiger counter to check for radioactivity, he found none. Presumably sick, he also checked for radioactivity when he visited the site of the alleged incident and found no abnormal radiation. Schuessler provides no medical data on Betty's health prior to the UFO incident. Nor does he provide any medical data on the prior health of Vicky or Colby. Emphasis and original. Other UFO researchers point out that high-energy ionizing radiation of the kind that can cause damage to human beings, for example gamma radiation, does not induce radioactivity in objects, and would not have left behind any residual radioactivity in the area. Similarly, Brooks Smith writes, skeptics have always asked a blunt and fundamental question: what was the trio's state of health before their alleged encounter?
Yeah, all right. So Schuessler, the NASA guy who was apparently interested in UFOs. Well, you still remember NASA, isn't he? NASA, never a straight answer. Was it him that persuaded him into the court case? I don't really know. Maybe he looked into it with some enthusiasm. I don't know. As for Philip Klass's involvement, well, we all know about that dick, don't we? Okay, I'm happy to move on, Paul. Here's the legal action coming up now.
Legal action. Eventually, Cash and Landrum contacted their U.S. Senators, Lloyd Bentsen and John Tower, who suggested that the witnesses file a complaint with the Judge Advocate Claims Office at Bergstrom Air Force Base. In August 1981, Cash, Landrum, and Colby were interviewed at length by personnel at Bergstrom Air Force Base, and were told that they should hire a lawyer and seek compensation for their injuries. With attorney Peter Gersten taking on the case pro bono, the case wound its way through the U.S. courts for several years. Cash and Landrum sued the U.S. government for $20 million. On August 21, 1986, a U.S. District Court judge dismissed their case, noting that the plaintiffs had not proved that the helicopters were associated with the U.S. government, and that military officials had testified that the United States Armed Forces did not have a large, diamond-shaped aircraft in their possession. Media coverage. The incident received coverage in both the tabloid press and mainstream media. In 1981, Vicky Landrum appeared on That's Incredible, a popular ABC television program. Vicky was hypnotized in front of a studio audience. Under hypnosis, she recounted the UFO incident. Vicky Landrum and Betty Cash both appeared on the 1989 U.S. television special, UFO Cover-Up Live, hosted by Mike Farrell. They related their account of the UFO encounter and their subsequent medical problems and legal battles. The Cash Landrum event was also depicted on the television program Unsolved Mysteries and Sightings. In 2009, Colby Landrum appeared on UFO Hunters, Alien Fallout.
Yeah, I remember that episode. And they actually talked to a military guy, and the military guy says, no, we didn't launch any helicopters from our airbase, blah, 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 blah. And then when he was put into a corner and was asked, well, did you have the need to know? He kind of quietly backed out and says, oh, well, no, I wasn't at the highest level. So maybe it did happen, but it wasn't to my knowledge, if you see what I mean. It's all on a need-to-know basis, isn't it? But there was, as we've seen, there was independent witnesses that seen these helicopters as well, although they didn't actually see the diamond-shaped object. They did see the helicopters. So there was an incident there, and that's for sure. Philip Klass trying to cast doubt on the whole incident, whether it happened or not, is just ridiculous, really. But that's Philip Class, isn't it?
Okay, I'm back with you.
Okay, what the hell have you done there? A whole cow?
No, it's a pig. Bacon,
a pig,
bacon
okay.
Sandwich.
Oh, good God, that's going to upset our Muslim viewers.
Oh, right. They don't know what they're missing out on, I tell you. Jewish people don't eat pig as well, don't they? Me, I just think that's silly. Oh, right. So how much we got left now?
Okay, but we're pretty much done with that now. It's just there. The late years, coincidentally, Betty Cash died at age 71 on December 29th, 1990. Exactly, I was right. 18 years after Plane Close Encounter. But unfortunately for her, Paul, she suffered during those 18 years. She was in and out of hospital. You know, she never recovered from that incident. Vicky Landrum died September the 12th, 2007. 7 days before 84th birthday. So yeah, they got by, but it wasn't such it wasn't all a bed of roses that their later life, you know.
Yeah.
But be careful if you're going between fusion and fission.
Fission.
Because fusion is just fusing, basically. You know. Wow, you know what you're doing.
Well, we're at the end of the article.
Fusion is like fusing the atoms together to create a large explosion. Fission is just bombarding a single one to create the explosion, which gives off far less of an explosion.
The diagram here.
Yeah.
Looks like it is ejecting some sort of flames out the rear end here.
No, yeah, I suppose it could. I don't know. I really don't know enough about it.
Like. It's like a jet engine, but it's shooting out radioactive material out the end of it. Rotating fuel reactor.
Yeah.
Placed on
I wonder sometimes if that could have been anything to do with Lonnie Zamora incident as well, you know.
Single large cylinder, entire cylinder was rotated, so some fibers were always in a reactor core where surrounded. Moderator made fibers go critical. The fission fragments at the surface of the fibers would break free and be channeled for thrust. The fiber then rotates out of the reaction zone to cool to avoid melting. So we got discs of, although we're not sure what year this was conceived, carbon fibers. That sounds like a modern thing. I'm not sure. We have to look at when carbon fibers were invented. So it's got this going into the reactive core here, which melts the ends of it, and it shoots out this carbon, radioactive carbon, I guess. So maybe on a black road, I suppose it would have been a black road, is it? Was it a tar road that they were travelling on? You ain't going to see black soot from the...
Yes, well, it was a black tar road.
So you wouldn't see the carbon fibers, right? So this... when were carbon fibers invented? I thought that's a fairly modern thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a little skim through this if you want. I'll just leave a link for you now.
Carbon fiber was first invented in Cleveland, Ohio, 1958. So yeah, what year was this incident? 70s, wasn't it?
1980.
So they've had like 30 years to perfect this fission engine. Maybe they got it working.
Yeah, maybe. Well, mess of it, didn't they? Because I tell you, that thing had crashed, with it could have caused a whole lot of problems.
So
I mean, there's probably beds out there because it's a big place.
That must have been what Standard Frame was working on then. So there we go. We got some information there. Okay, we've got another link to go, have we?
Somebody wants my volume to be lifted.
Up your volume. I don't think I can. My volume. It's probably because I've moved my mic away. No. Hello. Something's gone wrong. Why has that gone down? Hang on. Let me just check. Something's happened here.
Oh, I think she's talking about your volume, Paul.
Yes, she is. I'll just check the mic level. For some reason, it's got this auto level business. There we go.
Yeah, mine does that as well.
I'm not sure what's doing it, and I haven't managed to find it. Bloody Windows 10, I'll tell you. So it should be loud, back to normal again. Whether it's going to stay there, I don't know. How's that sounding now? Testing 1, 2, 3. And Robert, talk at the same time.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Yeah, I think we're
10, 8, 6, 4, 2.
Okay, we're back to normal again, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Okay.
Cool. We're back to normal. Okay.
It's probably up to 8.
So we're going to link here to go.
Okay, Charles Barman said that's better. Thank you, Charles, as ever.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, just have a skim through this. It just shows you the documents and whatever that was related to the case, and then we can move on to.
Do you want us to read out any of it, or
no? Just have a skim through. Oh, you can't see the damn
pictures. The pictures have been censored. Broken images, it says.
Please, it's fine for me. Okay.
Yet it comes up there. Hang on. Hey, what's happening there?
Important,
Is it loaded now? Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so complaint. Is this the letter that she complained?
Yeah.
Texas Department of Health. I'm not going to be able to read that out. And there's a close-up of, what's that? Does it tell us? Let's have a look. Internal DTH memo repeating report. Desire of examination witness. Medical files. Read this series of memos and news items regarding interesting event in East Texas. Do you think that the access to the medical records would help? So yeah, I'm not sure why that's important. I asked here Schuzeler, I'm not sure how you say that name. If say other people.
It's a German name.
Yeah, no, it's a strange name. Had reported seeing the object that night. Bit hard to read that for me. So that's location, which looks like it's on the same map location here. Let's see if we can drop a man to Street View there.
Yeah, it doesn't. No, I wouldn't bother doing that. Paul. It's not really important, and we've got quite a bit to go through.
Why won't it go? I really hate this. Does it look like where they are? 2 roads.
Yeah, that did look quite like the road which they covered in UFO Hunters.
Is that the same tree? It looks like the same tree.
Well, I don't know about that, but it looks like on the same road, doesn't it?
There's the same tree. That's the tree they're on. Let's see if I can go forward.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Now it doesn't look like the same tree. We've gone back too far.
Okay. It's not exactly in the middle of the desert, is it? Which is where they should have been doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But come on, let's. But just again, just a brief thing on the difference between nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. I think the harmless nuclear energy is released in nuclear reactions. In the case of nuclear fission, an atom divides into two or more smaller or lighter atoms, I believe, doesn't it? Nuclear fusion occurs when two or more atoms join or fuse together to form a large or heavy atom, which gives off more energy at the end of the day. So anyway, let's move on to the next case now. Which have I left that for you?
Probably not. Don't see it.
My bad again. My bad. Yeah, so we'll move on to the case of James Burroughs, who should not need any introduction.
Okay, I don't see a link here.
No. You'll get it in a minute. It's taking a while for the page to load. For some reason, I don't know why. Stupid antivirus is trying to block you, Paul. He thinks we're bad.
It's just blocking you.
I thought I turned it.
I've turned it off on my browser here. I've turned off most of it.
Off once, but
that
back on.
The web shield where it tells you it's a bad site and all that sort of nonsense is rubbish. I normally turn that off.
Yeah.
Okay, you got the link. Looks like I'm going to have to adjust my bed. The mattress is loading off again. So why is it not going? Not secure, it says. Open minds. Who's this guy? He looks like a big guy. Who's that there? He looks like a small guy. Looks like
what you're looking at now?
The link that you posted.
Yeah, that's John Burroughs there on your right hand side.
That's John Burroughs. He looks like a big guy.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Well, he's the guy who's introducing him. It looks like a MUFON conference to me.
I know, but he must be way smaller than average height. Because
he could be sitting down.
Don't think so. I think he's standing up there. So, what do you want me to read it out, or what?
Yeah, just read the damn thing out. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of these pages. There we go. I'm just going to read that out and adjust my mattress, so I'm going to take off the headset.
Vet says government has acknowledged he was injured by UFO while on duty. Posted by Alejandro Royas, March 3, 2015. 11 comments. A U.S. Air Force veteran believes a UFO incident he experienced while on duty in 1980 is the root of his current health problems. However, initially the government denied he was on active duty at the time. With the help of a lawyer and U.S. Senator John McCain's office, his records have been corrected and he has received his full medical disability. He and his lawyer now claim their victory represents the U.S. government's de facto acknowledgement of the existence of UFOs. John Burroughs was serving as a U.S. Air Force police officer at Royal Air Force Base, RAF, Bentwaters, near the Rendelsham Forest in Suffolk, United Kingdom in December 1980 when the UFO incident took place. The base, along with its sister base, RAF Woodbridge, were on lease to the U.S.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, that's RAF, Royal Air Force Woodbridge, but it was actually an American base on British soil, which at the time was illegally, I shall add, harbouring tactical nuclear weapons, which may have been the interest of the UFOs, because I think already on previous episodes, we've made a connection between UFOs and nuclear bases and nuclear facilities. And John Burroughs is the man that actually went out and who claimed, at least, with Jim Penniston. Jim Penniston didn't get quite as close, but he actually touched the UFO. Now, his story is not changed over the years, but it's been added to over the years, which is a little bit of a concern. Oh yeah, Zach, Lively Warren is a liar. My God, well, that's why they call him Lively the Liar, Zach, because he is a liar. John Burroughs, no, I don't really think he's a liar. But he went under regression. There was all this stuff about him seeing, stuff, noughts and zeros, binary code, and some people trying to make some sense of it. Now, I don't trust anybody under regression because it could induce, false memories. I'm not really sure, but anyway.
But would you remember zeros and ones that form sexual ASCII characters? I don't know.
Well, that sounds more like automatic writing, doesn't it, than anything else?
I know you start to sound like Linda Moulton Howe now.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't say I believe in it.
Yeah,
Paul, I'm just saying I don't trust regression. Period. Okay.
Yeah. So unless he's faking it,
I'm being very skeptical about the latter part of the story,
yeah.
but I'm not being skeptical about the former part of the story because Penniston was behind him. He went out with him, and there were several other people that backed him up that he did go out to investigate this landed UFO. It didn't crash, but it was landed.
Yeah. I don't think you can memorize a sheet of binary numbers. I don't think I could.
No, I don't know whether he done that, whether he wrote them out during regression or what have you. I don't really know.
I think there has been pictures off the book with the numbers in it, though.
Yeah, the house. Yeah,
but wasn't there some speculation that it was added to the notebook after?
Oh, well, but listen, the whole thing with the Rendelsham Forest incident, it's ended up in one big, horrible mess. Because now you've got Charles Holt, who doesn't believe Burroughs. You've got Burroughs who doesn't believe Penniston. You've got Penniston who doesn't believe Holt. And nobody believes each other. And Lively the Liar is going on about everyone.
Looks like
and apparently there's some more information come out just today that he wasn't even there at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got that Yorkshire guy, Gavin Hasseltine, is making a documentary on the back of Lively Warren's testimony. It's called Capel Green. Don't buy it, I'm telling you. You're going to get mugged. Don't touch it.
Capital Green, did you say?
Capel Green.
Oh, right.
Remember this all happened in Suffolk, England.
Oh, we didn't bring up a map, though, of it, so... we could probably bring it in, can we? How do we get out of this? Capel...
No, don't do that, Paul. Don't do that. No, just put in Rendlesham, Suffolk.
Forest,
yeah, that's fine.
Woodbridge. So that's the area in UK.
Yeah, you see that now Rendlesham Forest lied between, there was two bases, there were twin bases.
Woodbridge, and where's Rendelsham? I can't see it.
No, the forest was in between. There was.
So we've got to zoom in.
IVF Woodbridge. There was IVF Woodbridge and IVF Bentwaters, and the forest was in between, and that's where all the stuff was happening.
Right.
But this is too well documented for us to go into now. Looking at maps, everybody knows this stuff, you know.
Right.
I mean, it's UFO folklore now, isn't it?
There's a river there too, as well, but also it was close to lighthouse. So whereabouts was a lighthouse? Out here, obviously. Where's the lighthouse? That's interesting.
More breaking news for you now. They're actually taking the lighthouse down because it's leaning slightly and it's unsafe.
Oh, right.
So cue the conspiracy theories of
yeah. So it would have been near somewhere, probably, or there. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, sure.
Late on the night of the fateful incident, lights were seen in the forest, and Burroughs and several other security personnel were sent out to investigate. They saw a bright light that grew brighter as they approached. It then flew off into the night sky. The next night the lights were seen again. Skeptical of the whole affair, and eager to figure out what he assumed was a prosaic answer to the sightings, Deputy Base Commander Charles Holt took a group of men out again. This group included Burroughs. This time the entire group saw lights flying around the forest. Some of these orbs of light beamed rays of light on the ground near the men's feet and on the nearby munitions storage.
Okay. Slicked too much again.
I don't really want to focus too much on the event itself today.
No, it's pretty
because it's so well documented. But it's more the physical condition of John Burroughs and the legal battle he had to get some compensation for a very unusual type of physical effect.
Yeah.
Going, please.
Well, tell me what parts you want to read out then.
Okay, go on. Yeah, just do two at a time.
The event became a large story in the UK and is still debated to this day. Burroughs, who along with an airman named James Penniston approached closest to the object, feels his health issues stem from his proximity to the UFO. He has since found a document that was created by UK Defence Intelligence that also speculates this could be the case. A section of the report that covers VAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, another term for UFO radiation, speculates. The well-reported Rendlesham Forest Bentwaters event is an example where it might be postulated that several observers were probably exposed to VAP radiation for longer than normal VAP sighting periods. Burroughs has since suffered from congestive heart failure, which he says he has been told by scientists can be caused by radiation exposure. While living in Arizona, Burroughs sought to get his medical records from the U.S. Air Force to help his doctor diagnose his problems. However, they said he was not in the service at that time. Burroughs sought the help of a lawyer familiar with Veterans Affairs (VA) cases in U.S. Senator John McCain's office. McCain's office was able to get his military records corrected, but, according to Burroughs and his lawyer Pat Frasconia, McCain's office was not confident he would ever get his medical records.
Do you know what? I have to say at this point, to deny he was even there, what a shower. What a shower. Honest to God. Of course he was there. That was proved in the end. Yeah. But to this day, do you know, he is denied his medical records.
Yeah, but under what reason? Because it's censored?
Well, it's classified, Paul. His own medical records have been classified.
It has been released now. Has it been released now? I thought it got released finally.
No, not to this day. Not to this day.
I thought you got some money out of it though.
Yeah, he got compensation.
Okay.
Compensation for his injuries. And he paid for his operation. And in the States, medical treatment isn't for nothing.
No. We've got Linda Moulton Howell causing a problem with the highlighting.
Oh well.
Just read that
In an Open Minds UFO radio interview with Frascogna, he said it was not unusual that someone who worked on classified projects in the military would have records withheld. He said in these cases the military typically settles and grants disability. However, these are individuals who knowingly working on classified projects. Burroughs was not working on classified projects. However, the government is not required to say why military records have been classified or by whom.
Okay, let's see if we can select the next bit. It's almost like Linda Moulton House got to get her finger in every pie, isn't it? So she can make money of it.
At the recent 2015 International UFO Congress, Burroughs and Frascogna announced that, as Frascogna predicted, Burroughs was granted full medical disability. However, they say his medical records remain classified. To Burroughs and Frascogna, the granting of the benefits signifies an admission by the VA and Department of Defense (DoD) that his health issues stem from his years in the service. Furthermore, they believe it is an admission that they are a result of his close proximity to UFO.
Okay.
Now, see, this is kind of groundbreaking now, because they've actually given him compensation for the incident. So that is a kind of confession in itself, isn't it? That the incident actually happened, and he did receive an injury.
Mm.
We can go into more detail about what that was. It was actually I think it's a mitral valve, which is a very serious heart condition, and it can actually be caused by radiation poisoning. It's one of the main causes of that.
You got to remember, there's two parts to this. They actually stored nuclear weapons at that base. Doesn't mean that the UFO was given off radiation, that he may have got a contaminated from some storage of materials they had there. And that's what they're covering up, not the actual UFO. So
that's possible. And maybe they'd like to blame it on the UFO.
Yeah, or maybe the UFO was added into it to cover it up, even. Send something.
Oh no, it was definitely an incident, Paul. It was definitely an incident.
Yeah.
One man's health wouldn't have involved all that kerfuffle.
There was a lot of mess with it. I think I've talked about it before, about some other story come out saying it was all a practical joke and the cops are all into it, and it turned out to be some practice. American troops there having some fun with the British people on the base, and all that sort of stuff, and it turned out to be like a fictitious story. And where did that come from and why is another question. So yeah, I'll just read out the next bit then.
In a press release titled U.S. Government's De Facto Acknowledgement of the Existence of UFOs, Burroughs writes, in January of 2015, after years of exhaustive efforts, the VA settled, in full, with me. I needed someone to champion my cause, someone not afraid to put themselves at risk to help me. I was lucky. I found two to champion my cause, my attorney Pat Frascogna, and Senator John McCain and his staff. Through their efforts, I received life-saving heart surgery to replace a badly shredded anterior mitral valve caused by the UFO radiation, and a settlement from the DoD and VA admitting I was injured in the line of duty in December of 1980. Although this story has a happy ending, Burroughs and Frascogna say they aren't finished looking into what really happened in the Rendelsham forest in 1980, and what the UK and US governments know about it.
Okay, so it seems to be something happening in the side chat at the moment. Just stay within the rules, don't insult people, because the mods will deal with it. So yeah, if you get censored or timed out, that's what's going to happen. I know there's a bit of tongue-in-cheek on my live yesterday. Some people don't see it as that, they see it as insulting. So
I don't. Good God, you can call me anything you like.
You know, I get fed up with people going on about my reading capabilities and my eyesight problems and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I don't appreciate that keep being repeated over and over again. You know, so I can't pronounce certain words and whatnot. So who cares? You know. But we're trying out this new voice on the reader, American voice. So hopefully it suits more of the American people. Because we're sort of multicultural in New Zealand here. We're used to all the different accents and stuff. The hardest one for me is probably Scottish and Irish, actually, out of all the accents. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, even in Wales and Celtic, you know, Wales, Ireland, Scotland. But I had two English parents, you see. So I'm kind of more English than I am Welsh.
Yeah.
Even though I've lived in Wales most of the years, but all my friends are Welsh, and I have lots of Irish friends. Not so many Scottish friends, but I have some, and yeah, they're all good people. Like the thing is with the Celts, they all hate the English. Anything goes wrong, it's the English. You know? Yeah. Damn the English.
Yeah, the sports and soccer goes crazy over all that sort of stuff, competitive.
Oh, Jesus, man. I think England are playing Wales in rugby tomorrow. I'm going to stay way off Facebook.
Well, sports are a replacement for war, so that's one good thing. Else there'd be a lot of fighting.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely.
I suppose there'd be a lot of fights outside pubs, so the cops are going to be busy.
Burroughs has submitted several Freedom of Information Act requests in the UK and US. He has already been able to get the UK government to admit that they have more UFO files to release, even though they had previously claimed to have released all of their UFO files. He also says he is confident he will receive more files from the US government that have not been available to the public before. The Rendlesham Forest incident is often referred to as UK's Roswell, and like its American counterpart, is a gift that keeps on giving with alleged new discoveries coming to light on a regular basis. Stay tuned for more revelations from Burroughs and Frasogna, and the other numerous dogged researchers out there who will undoubtedly continue their search for answers.
Okay, that was quick reading.
Yeah, you need to slow it down a little bit. Can you slow it down a touch? It's going back through
this sounds a wee bit strange.
Sure people can take that in, you know.
I think we can slow it down. I think I did already, haven't I?
I thought you sped it up.
We can slow it down on a tab, but let's see what.
There we go. Yeah.
What's it doing?
Vet says government has acknowledged he was injured by UFO while on duty. A U.S. Air Force veteran believes the UFO incident he experienced while on duty in 1980 is the root of his current health problems.
Right, but it's a bit slow,
however, initially the government denied he was on active duty at the time. With the help of a lawyer and U.S. Senator John McCain's office, his records have been corrected and he has received his full medical disability. He and his lawyer now claim their victory represents the U.S. government's de facto acknowledgement of the existence of UFOs. John Burroughs was serving as a U.S. Air Force police officer at Royal Air Force Base, RAF, Bentwaters, near the Rendelsham Forest in Suffolk, United Kingdom in December 1980 when the UFO incident took place. The base, along with its sister base, RAF Woodbridge, were on lease to the U.S. John Burroughs accepting an award at the 2015 International UFO Congress. Credit, Carlo Petrick. Late on the night of the fateful incident, lights were seen in the forest and Burroughs and several other security personnel were sent out to investigate. They saw a bright light that grew brighter as they approached. It then flew off into the night sky. The next night the lights were seen again. Skeptical of the whole affair, and eager to figure out what he assumed was a prosaic answer to the sightings, Deputy Base Commander Charles Holt took a group of men out again. This group included Burroughs. This time the entire group saw lights flying around the forest. Some of these...
Well, it does sound a wee bit better, but I'm not sure what it's reading out there. I selected that above here, I thought. And it was reading out something else.
Oh dear.
But yeah, slower. I suppose it's easier to hear it a bit better.
Yeah, of course, because people can
For
comprehend
his work getting the UK government to admit they had more UFO files to release, and for the discovery of the UK Defence Intelligence document speculating that the witnesses of the Rendlesham Forest incident had been exposed to UFO radiation. Burroughs was awarded the UFO Researcher of the Year award at the 2015 International UFO Congress. Watch the video below to view the presentation of the award.
Not really.
No thanks. I tell you what, Burroughs teamed up with Linda Moulton Howe for a while. He was doing a show with her, you know. Now he must have realised that she was putting out some grade A manure. Yeah. Complete. I mean, Linda Moulton Howe has been putting out absolute horse feathers for years now. And all this Antarctica stuff is just getting on my tits now, to be honest. Like, you know. So to team up with her, obviously, doing the tour. To me, it's a perfectly good case, Spalt, because these people have embellished the stories through the years, and now I just don't really know where it's going. Charles Holt as well as he actually said to one person, it was during a conference and it was a little known one, and he actually said that he'd been drugged as well, you know, what is it, sodium pentothal, the truth drug, and then he denied he'd said it. Do you know, so you just can't trust that. They've seen the gravy train, you see.
Whereabouts was Larry? Where did Larry meant to come into this? Because if he was
exactly, Lively Rodman seemed to be heaving a whole lot of scuttlebug. That's what it seems to me. A whole lot of scuttlebug.
Right.
And he just he just jumped on the bandwagon. Hold on a minute.
To make money from it, obviously.
Yeah.
Has the volume dropped again? I think it has dropped a wee bit, hasn't it?
Don't think so.
No? Okay. Let me just check it anyway. I wonder what does that though.
Yeah, look, no. Jan just said that there's no problem with the volume, Paul. Just getting paranoid now.
Yes, I know. There's always problems go wrong. Yeah, it's 97% still, so that's all right. So yeah, do we need to read out any more of this though?
Well, yeah, we do. Project Condign there, which is interesting.
Assistance of UFO. So you want to read out that bit underneath?
You just read it, and that's all.
Well, I thought maybe you could skip some of it, but
U.S. government's de facto acknowledgement of the existence of UFOs. Phoenix, A's. The United States government has, for the first time ever, acknowledged by de facto the long-suspected reality of the UFO phenomenon. John Burroughs encountered a craft of unknown origin in England's Rendlesham Forest in December of 1980 and suffered injury therefrom, for which the Veterans Administration has now recognized by granting him full medical disability. The December 1980 Rendlesham Forest incident in the United Kingdom is arguably the most well-documented and important UFO encounter in history. A UFO was seen over 3 consecutive nights by United States Air Force personnel stationed at the twin bases of Bentwaters and Woodbridge, near Ipswich, England, then the largest NATO Air Force bases at the height of the Cold War. The UFO was tracked on radar and physical evidence was found at a site where the UFO was seen to land, including indentations in the frozen ground, scorch marks on the sides and the trees, and radiation levels subsequently assessed by the UK Ministry of Defence as significantly higher than the average background. Airman First Class John Burroughs encountered the UFO at close proximity on the first night. While for many years the U.S. government denied that this incident had even occurred, in 2006 the UK government declassified an intelligence study on UFOs, codenamed Project Condian, and classified as secret UK eyes only, in which the following statement is found. The well-reported Rendlesham Forest Bentwaters event is an example where it might be postulated that several observers were probably exposed to a unidentified aerial phenomenon, radiation, for longer than normal sighting periods.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul, I think Charles knows all about those guys you were just mentioning there.
A lot of people still watch them, you know. A lot of people.
Yeah,
still...
it's not really a case of that, Paul. It's a case of some people being corrupted, who you thought were in the past unimpeachable.
Yeah. But Linda Moldenhelm, a lot of these people start off right. Maybe doing serious research and stuff, and then eventually they get caught up in the money side of it because they got to live off something, right? So they got to keep it going. Mm-hmm. They got to keep finding new material and go over old material again and say, "Oh, we found some more information. Let's add this in and recreate another documentary or whatever, you know, a new book out of it." But yeah, it seems to be. Gets a bit boring then, doesn't it? And it's like the alien autopsy I covered yesterday, but I gave it a different look. I looked at different aspects to the alien autopsy that no one else has, with actually humans with 6 fingers and all that sort of business. So to see what's possible.
Well, I mean, I don't even know why you covered that, Paul, to be honest, because that has been so thoroughly debunked. We know who faked the video. He's been doing podcasts now for the last couple of years or more.
Yeah,
it was Spidus Morales.
No, it was more. There was more on about the memo.
I don't care about the memo. We know who actually done the autopsy. It was Spidus Morales.
I think it needed.
And he also used a guy called John Humphreys, who was the model maker.
Yeah, I think it had to be covered, and my input had to be added to it. But I don't think you watched it all. You left very early on. You didn't actually watch what I did. I don't think.
Yeah, sure. I had friends around. You know,
I think you need to go back and re-watch what I did there, because I added some other aspects to it.
What can you add to a complete falsification?
Well, you'd have to watch the episode to find out. I think the guys in the side chat can say, yeah, I did add extra stuff there that no one else has. So anyway, I'll just...
once something's fake, it's fake. It's dead. It's finished.
Not to Grant Cameron, it's not.
Oh, yeah, well... Grant Cameron's been coming up with some crazy stuff again recently, hasn't he? I don't know.
He's always come up with crazy stuff.
Slingshot to Mars. You just walk into a room and boom, all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah, that's the main one. Yeah, jump room. But he also thinks that aliens are dropping bits and pieces on the ground as clues to their existence. was another thing. And also he thinks that it influences musicians to write songs about UFOs. There's another one. He calls it the consciousness, I suppose automatic download business again.
There's kind of layers in ufology. You've got like you've got kind of, if you look at like a globe kind of thing, on the outside you got those people who are unsure, and they may only read one book, they may have only read one book, but they're kind of slightly interested. Then you go inside the globe a little bit further, and yet the people are more interested, and maybe they've read 10-12 books on the subject, and but they watch every documentary that's out, and yeah, they're kind of skeptical, what have you. And then you've got these hardcore people that just believe in anything, absolutely anything. They hate the government. And then you move in again, and you get like a kind of an inner core, where nobody's making money, but they're really serious about it. And I think that's where me and you are. I hope we don't intend on making any money out of it. Just trying to knock out the truth as best we can. And they don't never intend on putting any bullshit out. If we make a mistake, we make a mistake, and that's okay. Everyone makes a mistake.
I think.
And then listen, you've got the inner core now. Yeah, you've got like the Dolans and the Linda Moulton House, and all the big names in ufology like Canada and what have you. That they're all making money out of it. And it's that inner core that does the most damage, in my opinion, to the outer core.
I think you can make money. Yeah, I think you can make money out of it, being honest. But the problem is that they're not honest. They're saying the new witnesses come forward, and this says this, and it creates another story, and it's all made up story. About the Antarctica or pyramids under Canada, is it, or Alaska, or whatever it is.
It's always been rumors about Antarctica. Maybe some of it's true. I mean, I read an account from a scientific team. I think it was in the 60s, when apparently they had an icebreaker in front of them, and the UFO exploded out of the ice, and apparently it was like 20 foot of ice, and the whole two vessels were covered in fragments of ice that were coming back down. What the hell does that? I don't really know, and it just shot straight up.
Was it a Linda Moulton House story though?
No, it wasn't actually. No,
because that one sounds more realistic.
Yeah. But none of these guys were going record, so it was. It's just one of those that you don't know if it's trusted or not. But it kind of sounds like a lot of other accounts of USOs that go back to Christopher Columbus.
But you hear a lot of these stories, but we don't hear about it currently, though. A lot of these ships would have like dash cams now, wouldn't they? They could record everything to a black box, in case they crash the ship and sink it, and for insurance reasons. They're going to have cameras everywhere. So yeah, if that sort of happens nowadays, you'd expect to see some footage of a UFO crashing out of ice. That's my reasoning there. So yeah, that would be like smoking gun footage, and you could make lots of money out of it. Obviously, if Linda Moulton House got her hands on it.
I'm not entirely sure, Paul. It works like that,
The UFOs disable the cameras, you mean, before it comes out the ice?
Hey, I tell you what, like, we could honestly be like fish in a bowl, looking out, trying to understand human society. It's as simple as that. It's the height of ignorance to think that we can just capture them at will, and just hand over the evidence, and maybe they're a little bit more elusive than that. Paul, you have to take that into account. It's a possibility, because we've had cameras around now for a long time, and there's absolutely no conclusive evidence. But yeah,
no. But I'm saying we seem to have you're missing my point. Seems to be a lot of these stories where cameras weren't invented, and now we got the cameras. We don't hear the stories anymore because maybe it can be debunked, right? Because there's no camera footage of the incident actually happening. So that's what I'm saying. So now we got the technology. We should be getting more evidence. In fact, it seems to be getting less and less and more, as Charles said on the side there, more rubbish being put up on the internet.
Yeah, okay. So you reckon these things are just there for the taking then? We can just capture them as we want. And
well, it should be constant. We still should be getting all these stories coming through, but we should be getting more recorded evidence of it happening, and that's not the case, as far as I can see.
Hey, mate, I tell you what now, yeah. The average person with a mobile phone these days, yeah.
Yeah,
he walks down the street, mate, with his mobile fucking phone. Yeah, sorry for the language. He walks down the street with his mobile phone. Yeah, he's looking at his phone the whole time. He's looking down the whole time. There could be a UFO landed on his head nearly. He wouldn't see it. He's looking at his phone. He's receiving a text message. So what's he do? He bumps into a lamppost. Ding.
You're talking about the females down the dog park.
He takes a picture of the lamppost. He takes a picture of the blues on his head. He puts it on Facebook, and he gets 100 likes.
Yeah, I know people walk around in circles with their phones in their hands. But I'm talking more about dash cams on ships.
I know that.
And cars, cars.
They're not designed to point up. And you think of it, a mobile phone, it's not a real camera, is it?
No.
Once you try and zoom in with it, it's a digital zoom, isn't it? And you know how crappy it gets when you try and do that.
Yeah.
It just distorts everything. I mean, if you've got a proper, like I've got a P1000 here, it's got a telephoto zoom of times 1.25, which is massive.
Yeah,
it's the biggest. It still is the biggest point and shoot camera in the world, but it won't take pictures that are going to win anything on National Geographic, if you see what I mean. But it still takes very nice, crisp pictures, and super zoom, absolutely fantastic. But people like Dave Scott are going out night watching all the time, and they're trying to capture something, and fair play to them. The only thing is with that, I don't think these things are PR on demand. Do you know what I mean? But at least somebody's trying, and you have to give credit for that.
I think you're going to have to catch them out, like the dash cams and stuff, where it's someone else's dash cam that captures it, because it's not in the person's memory. So when people come to abduct them in bedroom, if they know there's a camera set up, they're going to make it distort, which is what I've heard from Earl Grey anyway, that happens. And I said, well, have you tried a Faraday cage around it and all this? So he was going to build one, but I don't know if he ever did. I'd be doing all this sort of the science side of it, and I think that's where they need someone like Cogswell, someone with a science background, to actually do all this.
Oh yes, he's good.
But he took off over the little racist thing, instead of just standing his ground and actually changing MUFON for the better. He took off, right? But they need more people that's gonna do scientific things, but like these ghost hunting shows where they've got a scientist that actually invents new gadgets to be able to test, see if it can communicate with the dead, or whatever you want to call it. But the same thing should be done in the UFO field. I don't think there's enough. There was mention of this super car that they're designing with all the camera tech and lasers and temperature readings and ionized air detectors and all that sort of stuff that was meant to be on top of the car. And they're going to make 10 of them go around the countries and get 2 that can focus on the same event. All that sort of stuff and communicate with each other. And that was where UFO field needs to go. They need that sort of technology in America, because that's where it seems to all be happening. In that parallel region that we talked about, Kentucky through Texas all the way across to Arizona. 4 corners or whatever. But I think as that progresses on, we should be able to prove the existence of UFOs for sure. And I'm pretty sure the Air Force would have some of that cam footage.
Oh, I think they've got plenty of it.
Yeah,
I think they've got conclusive evidence, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, can you just mute this while I go to the far?
I'll read out this last bit while you go to toilet then.
Oh.
Okay.
John Burroughs was one of those observers who was exposed to UFO radiation in the Rendlesham forest in December 1980. However, despite having been exposed to UFO radiation as postulated by the UK's own intelligence report, the US government stonewalled John, his attorney, and 2 United States senators for years. Now, after decades of persistence, the U.S. government has finally acknowledged that John Burroughs suffered adverse health effects in the Rendlesham forest and, therefore, has recognized the link between his health problems and the UFO he encountered. In an interesting twist, John's complete medical records file from that time he served in England remains classified. In regard to the VA's action on his case, John said, in January of 2015, after years of exhaustive efforts, the VA settled, in full, with me. I needed someone to champion my cause, someone not afraid to put themselves at risk to help me. I was lucky. I found 2 to champion my cause, my attorney Pat Vasconia, and Senator John McCain and his staff. Through their efforts, I received life-saving heart surgery to replace a badly shredded anterior mitral valve caused by the UFO radiation, and a settlement from the DOD and VA admitting I was injured in the line of duty in December of 1980.
So yeah, I'm just answering the side chat, see what I was reading out. So yeah, Charles is saying if someone comes out with the story and asks for money, you have to question them, and that's true. But they should do it like we do on YouTube. They should just release the story, make it freely available, but reduce the quality, you know, 480p, 360p, or whatever. And if you want the higher footage, and if you want to sell it to, obviously, TV companies who profit millions of it, you want a slice of that. So, yeah, I can see that you want to release it initially as free, and eventually then produce something better, you know, maybe release the story with maybe part of the footage or some drawings that you did, and then later on do more drawings of the scene or whatever, photographs of the scene, and make the story a bit more complete. Then you can sell it in a book or movie. Yeah, is there really that good many stories out there though? I bet there is. We don't hear about, you know, about families witnessing abductions happening on a regular basis. That's the sort of thing that we really want people to come on live streams to talk about.
Yeah, I think, you know, Paul, the best cases go unreported on a lot of occasions, you know.
So, yeah, I don't know. Money and UFOs is a complex one, but if you're doing it full time as a researcher, I don't see anything making a living out of it, but making tons of money out of it, and obviously making embellished or fake stories is another thing, which is what Tyler was doing, right?
Oh, come on, let's leave that guy out the damn picture now, Paul. Come on, please. Please, please.
Well, we're talking about it on the side chat here about fakes and
yeah, well, sure, but we're not. You know, you can leave that for your, you know, your Saturday debunk. But I'd rather get on with the subject matter here now tonight, Paul.
Well,
if you don't
we're
mind.
Finished off. You're away while I was talking about that stuff, but
yeah, that's true. I'll give you a new link now, okay?
But you notice though, everybody's so stuck on these big channels, waiting for a new video to come out and all that sort of business, when there's really people like me putting out stuff where they can join in and have their own stories told. And why don't they do it? I don't understand what's going on out there. Doesn't make any sense to me. I'm probably the only UFO channel that hasn't had ads put on, and yet I'm probably the only one that's doing real truth and giving you a mix of debunks as well as the best cases out there. So yeah, Google are not going to give it to me. 2 months on now. I wonder if it'll just go on forever probably. Unless the ads suddenly appear and I don't know about it. So if the ads appear on my videos, let me know, because you never know. They might enable it and I don't get a message in the email or whatever. Do you think that some people got so scared to tell anyone? Well, not if they're sort of like come on voice only and not have their picture up. They can do that. As you know, you can turn off your camera. Well, you can just put blue tack on your camera, right? Would people recognise your voice? I
don't think that's what Charles is saying. You know, I think what he's saying is, you know, it's the ridicule factor. I mean, it's still there to this day, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you can't identify the person and they use a fake name, History Channel coming up.
Yeah, very scary case of Mr. Lovett. Now we're moving on to the real dark side now. Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't.
This is not.
I hope it doesn't break Google's terms. They keep adding new stuff to it, don't they? About what gory stuff you can add up. Is there any gory pictures? Well, I suppose there might be. As long as it doesn't show blood, I suppose it might be alright.
The dark connection between UFOs and grisly mutilations.
Grisly mutilations. Grizzly not being bears, I guess. Just read out that bit then. So this is on the History Channel summary page, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The details are both grisly and strangely surgical. Corpses found under the open sky with their eyes plucked out, tongues removed and private parts excised, all extracted with the utmost precision and leaving not a drop of blood. Reports of such unexplained mutilations, carried out on both humans and animals, have baffled investigators for decades, leading to speculation about whether the perpetrators might be otherworldly beings conducting biological experiments on Earth's inhabitants. While scores of reports have emerged from U.S. western and midwestern states detailing mysterious bloodless animal mutilations, human cases have been far less common and often much sketchier in their documentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Project Grunge, do we carry on?
Yeah, this is proof part number 13. This is the one that went missing.
Got the annoying pop-up. Go away, pop-up.
The enigmatic Project Grudge Report No. 13 single quote. One of the most shocking cases, the Lovett Cunningham incident, involves an American Air Force sergeant allegedly abducted by a saucer-like aircraft, after which his cleanly mutilated body was found in the New Mexico desert. In ufology circles, reports have circulated that the case was studied by Project Grudge, one of the earliest U.S. Air Force programs tasked with investigating sightings of unidentified flying objects in the years after World War II. Project Grudge was a short-lived precursor to the better-known Project Blue Book, which ran from 1951 to 1969, many documents from which are now declassified. The result of the Air Force investigation into the purported abduction was allegedly a 600-page document labeled Project Grudge Report 13. Problem is, no official information on Report 13 exists, and the U.S. government denies its very existence, so its details are known only from second-hand sources who claim to have seen and analyzed the document. One account came from controversial conspiracy theorist William Cooper, 19,432,001, who asserts he was tasked with analyzing an annotated version of Grudge Report 13 in the early 1970s. The other came from William English, a former Green Beret captain who says he too was asked to analyze the document, while assigned to a U.S. security service at a former Royal Air Force base in Chicksands, England.
Yeah, Bill Cooper.
I don't know about William English, but William Cooper was a bit of a kook job.
Yeah.
So we can't really take too much of what he says.
He was a bit like Alex Jones, wasn't he?
I wouldn't say that.
Not that bad.
He was just a complete conspiracy theorist, you know. He says some crazy stuff. He ended up getting shot in the end, didn't he, by local sheriff. But he's the one who reckoned that Kennedy was shot by the driver. He's a hell of a guy. But a lot of the stuff he said was clearly false. He wrote the book. What was it? Behold the Pale Horse. That was it, and it was a bestseller.
Yeah, it will be to the conspiracy heads out there, right?
He actually hit on a few good points, you know.
Well, if you write enough conspiracies, you're eventually going to get one of them right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's like prophecies. If you do enough prophecies, some of them are going to come true, and then you can, like the Billy Meyer ones. But apparently he plagiarized it from other people that put out the same thing and put it all together as his own. That guy is just terrible. But anyway, like I said, if you do enough predictions, eventually going to hit on. It's a bit like cold readers, apparently. You put enough things out there, eventually going to hit on something, and then you're going to tune in to that person. Did your mother or grandmother die? Blah, blah. Yeah. Which one? Was it your mother? You know, how cold reading works. If they're really communicating with the dead, some of these people, they should better pull out the name out of thin air. Was your mother's name blah, blah? You know, some of them can actually do that, though. I won't discount mediums.
I think we're going way off subject now, though, Paul.
Yeah. Well,
we're basically on a human mutilation case here.
Yeah.
Which is, if true...
English dictated 2 audio cassettes outlining what he remembered from Report 13, and according to Military Encounters with Extraterrestrials, The Real War of the Worlds by author Frank Joseph. English also participated in a 1991 Colorado radio broadcast where he discussed his findings. Cooper's and English's stories echo one another closely.
So, I suppose we're not going to play that, though.
No, all we have to do is go down to a terrifying abduction now and read it. And let's get on to that, and let's not have any distractions from this point on, because I think it's quite important.
Yes, sir.
As well, we're losing viewers because we're just going off topic, can't we?
What, do they want to know about mediums? Okay, carry on.
Well, we're not on mediums.
A terrifying abduction, a curious autopsy.
Okay, so we've got a building here of, I don't know, I can't quite read that, what it says there.
United States Air Force.
Oh, right, yeah, Air Force underneath.
Both recount an alleged incident of March 1956 involving Air Force Sergeant Jonathan P. Lovett, who was assisting Major William Cunningham in the White Sands missile testing grounds near Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. While searching for scattered debris from a recent rocket test, Cunningham was shocked when he heard a loud scream. Thinking Lovett had perhaps been bitten by a snake, English recounts Cunningham crossed the dune to aid his partner when he purportedly witnessed one of the more bizarre human extraterrestrial encounters.
Do you want to say anything so far?
Instead of finding Lovett nursing a snake bite, Cunningham, according to English, recounted seeing the soldier being dragged by a long serpentine arm, wrapped around his legs, connected to a silver disc hovering in the air 15 to 20 feet away. Cunningham watched, frozen in horror, as Lovett was pulled inside the craft, which then rose vertically into the sky. The major then stumbled toward his jeep and radioed for assistance.
That sounds like a reptilian serpentine arm.
Well, I don't know, but it was a silver disc 15 to 20 feet away.
Yeah.
And I can tell you now, this is a real event. It was investigated further, and the guy was arrested for murder straight away.
And tried to turn it into a UFO story. Tried to turn it into a UFO story, is what they're saying.
No. They didn't believe the UFO story. They accused him of killing him.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
So
they didn't believe the UFO story until, and let's carry on reading.
And if it's a reptilian that's eaten humans, it's possible, I suppose.
Well, Paul, it was just some kind of an arm that came out the craft that took him in.
Yeah.
No one's saying it was a reptilian being. I mean, I don't even like that. What is a reptilian? I don't know. I've never met one. Knows anyone.
David likes it. Anyway, carry on.
Well, yeah. Well, there we go. Yeah, Queen Mother and all that. Jesus.
Security teams arrived and the disturbed Cunningham was confined to the base hospital for observation and treatment after retelling what he believed he witnessed. According to Joseph's Military Encounters book, base personnel did confirm an unidentified radar contact near Hollowman at the time Lovett vanished. The base dispatched search parties into the desert, but it would be 3 days before Lovett's nude corpse was discovered some 10 miles from the site of the alleged abduction. From all indications, the body had been exposed to the elements for 24 to 48 hours. According to English, the report offered no explanation of what might account for the missing third day, and the autopsy performed on Lovett raised more questions than delivered answers.
Okay. Of course, cannibals say that humans actually taste a wee bit like pork, is what I've heard. So.
Well, I heard chicken.
No, tastes more like pork.
Well, unlike you, I'm in no rush to find out.
Well, yeah, with climate change and then trying to reduce cattle, you never know what you end up eating.
First question was, why had Lovett's corpse been so severely mutilated? His tongue had been cut from the lower portion of the jaw, his eyes gouged out and his anus removed. In the Air Force medical examination report pertaining to the incident, English alleges that the coroner remarked on the apparent surgical skill used to remove the organs, in particular that the anus and genitalia had been neatly extracted like a plug. Perhaps most puzzling was the fact that the body had been completely drained of blood, but surprisingly, there was no vascular collapse usually associated with death by bleeding.
Okay, does that sound familiar?
Cattle mutilation.
Yes, it does. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, but why aliens?
And I tell you what, yeah, there's okay. Go on, why?
Why would aliens want your ass, though? You know, it doesn't make any sense. It's a poo hole.
It doesn't make any sense to you, Paul, because that could be like us in a fishbowl trying to understand humans. Okay? Don't try and make sense of it, because maybe we just can't. Let's look at the facts.
Yeah.
Yeah? And just
what facts have
sit
we got?
back and think, what the hell? You know?
Though grudge reports 1 through 12 have been declassified, along with Report 14, no official mention or accounting of Report 13 exists. The Lovett Cunningham case remains unsubstantiated, and no follow-up reports regarding the incident, if it in fact did happen, are available.
So this sounds really Linda Moulton Howe stuff coming up.
The wider mutilation phenomenon.
Stop there, Paul. Linda Moulton Howe would not touch the human mutilation stuff with the 50-foot pole. Okay. Richard D. Hall from the UK tried to drag her into this at one time, and she threatened to sue him. She wouldn't touch it. Very few UFO people have ever tried to touch the human mutilation cases. They just hope they go away. They don't want to touch them. Now, that doesn't mean to say they're not happening.
Yeah, but you got a lot of crazy people in America, right? Serial killers.
Oh, no. Yeah, let me make my case, Paul, before you start debunking it. Debunk it at the end if you want.
While easily disregarded as fiction, the alleged 1956 New Mexico incident offers intriguing parallels to other reported mutilations, both past and present. In 1988, a body was allegedly found at the Guapironga Reservoir in Brazil. According to reports, the victim had been dead for 48 to 72 hours, but there was no sign of decomposition. The eyes, ears, tongue and genitalia had been removed, as had the digestive organs. Officials were never able to identify the victim. Widespread reports of livestock mutilation also contain similar details. Since the early 1970s, incidents of mutilated cattle, sheep, horses, rabbits, deer, bison and elk have been recorded, with the bloodless corpses often lacking jaw flesh, eyes, ears, tongue, lymph nodes and genitalia. In 2009, the Denver Post reported 4 calves were found mutilated in similar ways. NPR reported on a 2019 incident in Colorado in which 5 young purebred bulls mysteriously showed up dead, drained of blood and with body parts cleanly excised.
Okay. But we've got Chris O'Brien talking about cattle mutilations, and what we've heard is not exactly what he's telling the story now.
Yeah, now Chris O'Brien believes it's a black op. That's what he favours.
Damn thing. I've got it. Oh, that'll do. History channels. Yeah.
But he only gives a 10% chance that it's alien.
I see my name highlighted there. What's happened?
No, it's just Susan.
Oh, right. She's just broadcasting. Yep. So there's not much left of this article anyway. So you got another one lined up.
A lot of people lean toward the aliens, Harney County Sheriff's Deputy Dan Jenkins told NPR. One caller told us to look for basically a depression under the carcass. Causey said that the alien ships will kinda beam the cow up and do whatever they are going to do with it. Then they just drop from a great height. So numerous did reports of cattle mutilation become in western and midwestern states in the 1970s that the FBI was asked to step in and investigate. But according to now declassified documents, they were unable to properly perform the task due to jurisdictional issues. No official answer has ever been given to these strange and unsettling incidents, and they remain unsolved. Project Blue Book airs Tuesdays at 10/9 on History by Colin Bertram.
Project Blue Book. Of course, humans do drink animal blood too. So why wouldn't aliens also drink blood? Maybe that's how they live on. Maybe that's their nutrition. But a lot of people, like I said yesterday, think that the alien greys are actually biological robots and they don't need to have food and they can just run off like a fission battery or fusion battery, which is possible. But yeah, you got these African tribes that
you're trying to understand something that's maybe a million years more advanced, Paul.
Not necessarily, you always got to eat, right? And that might be blood, might be their food source. But like in Africa, they shoot an arrow in the neck of their prize bull and they drain so much blood out of it and then they plug it with mud again. So it makes, why wouldn't they do that, instead of just kill the beast? So if it's blood they want, they can just take out a wee bit of multiple animals and then not kill them. So you always got an ongoing food source.
Okay, but I can ask you this now. If it was a black project,
that's different.
why not would they take the chance on being caught stealing ranchers' cattle? Yes, when they could easily buy cattle up and test them under a pseudonym. Easily. Don't tell me these alphabet agencies don't have the money to buy a few cattle and test them.
It might become a bit suspicious though if they keep coming buying one cattle instead of a...
Well, no, they could do it under somebody else, couldn't they?
But it might be a bit suspicious that one person comes every month to buy one cattle off them.
So they have to steal them. Okay, like that. All right. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. That's
hey, but we're dealing with men in black here, aren't we? Black ops, government types.
But so many people have seen strange lights.
Yeah, but what's Chris O'Brien? He said they weren't actually drained of blood.
Show off my hoodie.
He said that because they're laying on the side, the blood turns to jelly on the other side.
Yeah, well, it seems that they're often being dropped from a great height, and there was actually one occasion, where they found alongside one of these mutilated cows, there was a gas mask, a very human gas mask.
Yeah, I think Chris O'Brien said there were broken bones, but it could easily be happening from being rolled off the back of a ute. I'm not sure what you call them in America, of a back end of a truck, so to speak. But so we got.
It was some of the bone fractures were like the bones are pulverized, like they'd been dropped from a great height, But I think he's probably the most sensible authority on the subject. But not a lot of people will approach the human side of this. But one man did, and I'll give you a website now.
Susan's asking you to show off your hoodie. Well, have you got the Out There Channel hoodie on today, have you?
Nah, it's not.
No, it's not. He's got that one in the. He's always got that one in the wash. You're saying?
Yeah. Well, no, it was getting smelly.
Yeah, we need to get them two so you can alternate.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not cheap though, but they're really good quality. I still got my t-shirts from years. I've bought t-shirts and they're still in the cupboard, perfectly fine. They're good hardware and quality Merc.
Oh yeah, I guarantee they're high quality. Yes.
I've yet to get a hoodie myself. Yes, it's quite costly though. Most of them about $40, aren't they, US? But yeah, they're well worth it. You get a lot of wear and tear out of it. Yeah, Susan's saying bummer that you haven't got the Out There thing. He has shown it once. I think we put it on the live stream once. Earl Grey also got one as well with the new logo on the back.
This is a nice one. It's kind of a gunmetal grey, and it doesn't show the dog hairs much, which is like endemic in my house.
Yeah. Well, you can get different colours. You don't have to get black. You can even get.
No, you don't have to get black.
You can even get white ones, I think.
Yeah. All right, Paul. I'm going to need you to do your stuff here and deface the video. Ooh, forgot about that bit.
What? Oh, right. It's too bad. Too bad now. What website is it on? Well, it didn't have
UFO Insight.
It didn't have an entry like R13. I think R13 high is allowed with that, and as long as it's not bloody, I suppose. But yeah, we should really have a disclaimer.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Beware of any images coming up, people.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, because some of the stuff that's going to be said now, if Paul can play this little YouTube video for me, is not going to be pleasant.
There's a YouTube video now down there.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Do you want me not to read? You don't want to read out stuff? Or what?
It's not that. No, I don't need to read out anything, Paul.
We've looked at those ones before.
Yeah.
The Russian incident. So whereabouts do you want to go?
Yeah. If you can go down to Butch Wachowski.
I think I must have gone past it. That's Richard Hall.
You've definitely gone past it.
Move on.
There you go. That's the one. That's the one. Now, if you can play that from 10 minutes and let it run till 25, Paul.
Right, that's a fairly big video. Yes, embedded.
Yeah.
We can sort of bring up the privacy thing a wee bit, I suppose.
Yeah. Because this is one of the few men that decided to take the subject on full on. Now, I'll give you a background now on Butch. Yeah. He was a Canadian homicide detective.
Yeah. Oh. So, is it in English? Because it looks like it's got a foreign language at the bottom.
So, 1989.
Well, let's just open it up on YouTube separately then.
And he's better known for his coverage on Bigfoot and cryptids. Yeah, but he also covered the UFO subject very well.
Who's putting this out? MUFON? Because it should be.
It's a MUFON conference, Paul.
No, who's the channel that's putting it out? Subatomic, so maybe it's a public one. I don't know. Okay. 29 minutes.
I think you need to go from 10 minutes in to get to the base of it.
Well, it does help to give all the information.
So remember, this guy's no Muppet now. He was a homicide detective.
Cocaine overdose doesn't leave a burn mark on your temple.
Probably going to have to adjust the sound.
Cocaine overdose does not make you disappear for 36 to 40 hours.
Hang it up.
And I find it very hard to believe that 200 searchers with dogs and cadaver dogs walked past this body for 2 days and didn't see it.
How's that?
So, is this one of our abductees?
It's very quiet for some reason.
Now the dark side. These early 90s, the mutilations were all the same. The eyes are removed, parts of the jaws are removed, inner ears are removed, tongue, inner throat removed. Anal area cored out, sexual organs removed, and some intestinal and respiratory organs also removed. In 1956, we got the first report of a human victim, the same type of mutilation. It was Master Sergeant Lovett, United States Air Force, stationed at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. And he, along with his colonel, went downrange to pick up some missile parts from a shot that they had that morning. The colonel's on one side of a little sand mound, and sergeant's on the other side, and the colonel hears the sergeant screaming, so he runs up over the sand dune in time to see the sergeant being drug off by his leg with something like a cable wrapped around his leg and being pulled into a saucer type ship.
A cable.
The colonel immediately jumps back in his jeep, heads back to headquarters, tells them what happened, and they immediately place him under arrest for murder. Three days later, Lovett's body shows up 415 feet from the exact spot where he was taken, from the exact drag marks. The body is identical to the mutilation of a cow. Everything is missing, just like cattle that have been reported since the early 50s. In 1988, this most disturbing case came to light. Had taken place in Brazil at the Guaraparanga Dam, which is a dam that supplies water. It's a man-made dam, supplies water right outside of Sao Paulo. Some fishermen are out in a boat, 3 guys in a boat, just doing a little fishing. And they look toward the shore, and they see what they think is a corpse. So instead of checking it out, they hightail it back and get the police. Police show up, they take one look, they call forensics, and the forensic team arrives. The gentleman is done in just like Sergeant Lovett. Eyes removed, partial jaw, tongue, inner throat, inner ear. He has the same 1 centimeter puncture wounds on his chest, which remove lymph nodes, bicep, which removes bicep muscle, navel, which removes intestines, internal organs, sexual organs removed, anal area cored out, just like cattle. And the body's remarkable. Again, no postal lividity, no livor mortis, no rigor mortis. Got to remember, when Todd Cease disappeared and laid up in that August heat, he should have been as bloated as a bus. This guy was laying for 40 hours. He should have been immense. The body was remarkable as far as an investigator is concerned. In all cases that I'm talking about here, the carcasses show no blood. The blood has been drained from the carcass, whether human or cattle. All the sensory organs are missing. And from what is gathered from the autopsies, it's some type of a sucking device that has some sort of a laser tip that makes the hole, cauterizes the wound, and then does whatever it does. I was fortunate enough to get the autopsy report from this case. I also have the pictures of the body. People often ask, why don't I put it up there? Yeah, you don't want to see these unless you've got a real strong stomach. The autopsy report keeps mentioning, of course it mentions all the wounds and what's missing, but also it keeps mentioning 2 words: vital reaction. Anybody here know what vital reaction is?
Mm-hmm.
If I stab a dead person, all I'm going to get is a wound, an open wound. Nothing else. No black and blue, no tearing, no bleeding, nothing. Just an open cut. If I stab a live person, there's a movement. There's a vital reaction. Now I've got bruising, I've got tearing, inside, outside. Okay? In 17 sentences in this autopsy report, it mentions the victim has suffered from vital reaction. This guy was alive. In 17 sentences in this autopsy report, it mentions the victim has suffered from vital reaction. This guy was alive.
Through the whole thing.
The disturbing thought of being butchered alive is very hard to comprehend. The true test of the vital reaction is to remove the skull cap during an autopsy. When the skull cap is removed and the brain is exposed, a vital reaction to a forensic scientist or a doctor, you would see a hematoma on a blood vessel. Not big, just a burst.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the body's reaction to pain. So if you roll some...
Yeah, but where's the alien connection coming though? Because it doesn't rule out humans doing that to humans, because humans are pretty...
No, Paul, it doesn't. It doesn't. No, but it's quite impossible. I mean, why would a human?
Well, he's talking about South America.
Yeah, want to bore out your anus, and it's not a typical murder, is it?
No, sicko murder.
they'd also have to have some way of keeping you alive during that, because the normal thing is the brain will go into complete confusion and it will black out, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't rule out a human thing, Paul. But let's go on and listen.
We're talking about South America here, so we know there's a lot of drug dealers down there that used to heck off people.
Who is a homicide detective, and he knows a little bit more than me and you on the subject. So can we let him speak, please?
Somebody over, and you whack them on the back of the head, and they go unconscious. Probably not. They're just going to have a hematoma, and they're going to have a headache. If you roll somebody over with a steamroller very slowly, inch at a time, foot at a time, the brain just goes haywire. The brain can't handle that kind of pain, and the person passes out, which is a good thing.
There you go.
This guy's skull his brain was covered with them. From front to back, all lobe areas were covered with hematomas. This gentleman was alive when this took place. Then I came upon a case which was a horse that was found in Colorado. When eyes are removed, you have a viscous type of fluid that flows. Not blood, it's just fluid behind the eyes. The investigator's standing there and he's looking at this horse's face and he's just staring and staring and staring, and he finally comes to the conclusion that, wait a minute, if the eyes were removed and the horse was on his side, the visceral fluid would have went this way. But instead, the visceral fluid went right down his snout, over his lip to his missing jaw. That horse was alive. He was standing up. Dr. Lear, sure you've heard of Dr. Lear, the guy that finds all the little transmitters and stuff under people's skin. Mentioned some cases in LA and California that he was involved in early on in his career, which got him really involved in UFO phenomenon and abduction and what he studies now, which is the placing of radio transmitters in people. Thought for years that cattle work wasn't the only thing that was being mutilated out there. There's a couple more quick cases that I found. Can't get a whole lot of information on them, but I'm trying. There was a case in 2005 is the latest, and that took place in Egypt, Beni Mazar region of Cairo, where 3 families, men, women, and children, were all found, murdered and mutilated in the same fashion. Youngest being 3 years old, oldest being 47 years old. The local police were quick to blame it on a retarded man who lived 200 miles away and had no way of getting to that scene. He's paraplegic. But when you got to come up with somebody, just come up with somebody. Then there's 2 cases that come out of the Vietnam era, and there was enough horror to come out of the Vietnam era to last a lifetime. One just came to light where a United States Naval combat photographer was assigned to the base at Da Nang and was called to go along with a rescue team to check out the crash of a B-52. They got on the scene, and the photographer noted that the plane didn't crash. It looked like it was placed in the jungle. There was no damage to the wings, nothing was tore off, it wasn't all banged up, no fire. It just looked like it was just set down in the bush. Upon entering the plane, checked for survivors. All 5 crew members were found strapped in their seats, mutilated, just like cattle. The report went back to their headquarters in Da Nang, who sent out a MAXOG unit, which quickly white phosphorused the whole plane and burned it to the ground. That team was taken back to Da Nang, and they were interrogated with the use of sodium pentothal. This happened a long time ago. This guy just remembered it a couple months ago. So I'm sure we're going to hear from other people that were on that team. And another case that was remarkable was a Black Ops unit was operating in Cambodia. They're coming down the Kokoda Trail, or what they called the Kokoda Trail, which did not exist in Vietnam, by the way. And they came upon 8 aliens, who they described as small gray creatures, loading body parts from a firefight into small containers. The second firefight broke out. We won. They lost. The bodies of the aliens and the body parts from the firefight were all recovered, and that's the last we ever heard of it, and that's the last anybody will ever hear of it. The government took over. Does the government believe in abduction? Absolutely not. People who have been abducted are just losing their mind. I've read some pretty credible cases, and I've talked to some pretty credible people. Am I a believer? Absolutely. Do I feel that they're out there for more than one purpose? Look, if they're going to experiment on us, they've been here for what? Thousands of years? Do you think they would have done it by now? What are they doing now? We know they're here. We want to know why they're here. What's their purpose? Why are we losing 30,000 people a year? Why are people with abductions shunned? In ufology, you know, if ufology is the Cadillac, abductions are the Chevy. Nobody really wants to know. They don't want to know about the Paranga case. They don't want to know about any cases in Vietnam or people being mutilated in Egypt. But it gets even better. We have a case in Colorado, very recent. And this investigator ain't letting go. He's also an ex-police officer and a MUFON chief investigator. He's called the scene of a car accident. MUFON does not go to car accidents. I've done enough of those. He gets there and the police officer says, we can't find the body. But somebody said that they saw something over the hill here and it looked like a UFO and that's why we called you. So old Joe, the investigator, trots up over the hill and he finds the body. Mutilated, 19-year-old victim. Identical to every case that we've seen so far. How many people here believe in abduction? It's true, it does, it happens. It has happened. The Totsis case, we're not going to let go of it. That old sergeant up there who thought he was going to have me arrested for harassment just bit off more than he can chew. We will find out what happened to Todd Cease. I've been contacted by the family. They're backing me up 100%. First they didn't. First time they called me. They threatened me with a lawsuit, I don't know, shooting my dogs, whatever. They just went berserk. But we will find out what happened. And the human mutilation, after reading these cases and looking into some of this stuff and coming up with some of this stuff, you know, if you see something flying up there and it's close, run like hell. Don't call me. Don't think about anything. Just get out of there. Just go. Because I have no idea what they want. Can't be experimenting. I mean, we're not that sophisticated that it takes 2,000 years to investigate one of us or experiment on us. There are many cases that are just shoved aside or ignored. If you're investigators out there, or you have an interest in this phenomenon, and I got this from Peter Robbins, and I found it to be a very, very true statement. If you want to know about all this stuff, you need to have your own library. Build your own library. Get the books on abduction. There's tons of them out there, written by really great investigators. John Mack, Jacobs. I mean, there's a ton of them. They'll give you all the information you need, which will take you to this, the internet. which is loaded with information. You just got to know where to find it. So you've got to think outside the box. Don't think abduction like the light comes through the window and the body gets off the bed and out the window it goes and it comes back 3 hours later. There are many types of abductions. The ones that concern me the most are the 30,000 abductions. Those are the ones I'm concerned about.
So he said search the internet, but if it's copyrighted in a book, you're not going to get the information, which is what the problem I found yesterday when I wanted to find out how many aliens had long three fingers in all the cases, right? You can't find that.
Well, as he says, I don't know where to.
Hang on, Robert. Robert, you got a problem. You got a problem. You need to drop in and out. You're going robotic for some reason.
Okay.
Looks like something's happened there. Are we back?
And back.
Yeah, you couldn't understand what you're saying there for a minute. Yeah, carry on.
Okay, I lost my thread there a little bit, but yes, because you've got to know where to look on the internet to begin with. A lot of these sites are quite difficult to find, and it always helps if you've got a lot of people in the field that you're friends with that can put you onto this, and but they're not going to make it easy for you, are they, Paul? Especially when it comes to a subject like this, and if this is true, you may try and debunk it, and my God, if you do, I hope you're right. I really do. I hope you're right. But he was actually saying there, they could have been around thousands of years. What are they doing playing around with us now? Well, when you think about it, we're still cutting up guinea pigs. We know what a guinea pig is, don't we? Yeah.
I don't know if I know what a guinea pig is.
But... for your biology lesson, Paul. But we're still killing them. We're still cutting them up and dissecting them, and showing students, and we're still doing that. So how do you not know? I know this is a disturbing subject. How do you not know the aliens aren't doing the same with us and cattle?
But the problem is we've got too many assumptions. Too many assumptions here. He's saying they've been around for thousands of years. We don't know that. They might have been around since 1940s, right?
No, Paul. I think that the evidence suggests they've been around a lot longer than that. I think what the evidence suggests is there was an escalation.
What events are you referring to there, though?
I think in my opinion, there was an escalation after we developed the bomb.
I don't know. There's too many assumptions there to really.
And that shows you the statistics quite clearly.
Yeah, we don't know if all these cases are related to aliens and whatnot, but
no, we don't for sure.
Yeah.
But I hope you're right. I hope it's got nothing to do with that. But I will say this now, Paul. Yeah, if you see a UFO, my best advice is run in the opposite direction, because you don't know what you don't. Oh yeah, you can laugh as long as you like, but I tell you what, you don't know what it is, where it's from, what its motive is, what its intentions are. Don't hang around taking pictures and be a hero. Just get out of there.
It's like people saying we should eat more insects. So, well, they can eat the insects, I'll stick with my beef. So
sure, yeah. You can make light of this if you can, but I don't see anything funny about it. To be honest, those people are stone cold dead, and whatever happens.
Yeah, but you don't know if it was aliens. It could be a serial killer still.
No, and we don't know if it's not.
Yeah, I just don't gel with the
a serial killer that actually drains your blood, takes your internal organs, hollows out your anus.
Well, Jack the Ripper did some similar stuff, right?
No, that was pretty much a savage stabbing on every occasion, Paul. That was very human.
No, he cut him open and took out stuff, but
he took out the womb and stuff. Yes, yeah, but it was the same every time.
And the same with cattle mutilations.
It was brutal. There was no signs of anything. There was no signs of cauterizing the wound after or anything like that. It was a bloodbath. You know, in these cases, you know, the cattle are completely drained of blood. And in these, thank God, rare cases, the humans were too.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, forget about David Paulides now, but Butch Witkowski, the guy we were listening to there, we might as well listen to the end of it now. We've gone that far. But he was one of the first guys that were looking at all these people that went missing from national parks, you know, and they're disappearing at one hell of a rate. Not everyone comes back, you know. If you remember, this guy isn't talking through his backside. He's never been one for the tour. He's never been one. He's a low-key investigator. And he's still going to this day. He had a heart attack recently, but he's back up and running now, to my knowledge. And I listened to a show the other day, but he's more into the cryptid side of things now, Bigfoot and Yeti and what have you kind of thing. But yeah, okay. Run the rest, Paul, if you like.
I can't imagine 30,000 people a year just vanishing. And when I say vanishing, I mean no trace at all. No bodies, no whereabouts, no contacts, nothing. They're gone, like they never existed. And the part that bothers me the most about that is the children. They don't really have a whole voice or a lot to say about anything anymore. There are not that many cases in Pennsylvania that we've encountered with abduction. And I think the reason of that being most people are distrusting. You know, if somebody's going to tell me something, I'm going to call the newspaper. Not happening. I am not a real newspaper guy. Matter of fact, I've been dead 3 times because of newspapers. They don't get anything right. I would never turn over anything to a newspaper. We have a Contact Us section on our homepage, which is www.pamufon.com. Last page says Contact Us. You put something in there that you need me to look at, or you want me to look at, or you want to tell me about, that comes direct to me. It goes to nobody else. My number, my website, and my personal email address is right there. You can get me in a matter of minutes, and you'll get a call back very shortly. The abduction phenomenon is getting stronger, larger, all the time. There seems to be no let-up. Worldwide, like I said, 2.5 million people a year. What about all the countries that don't report those statistics, like Zambia, Angola, all those third world countries that they don't report anything? So how many more people do we add? I did a statistical check to see on the percentage of change year to year since 1990. High points of abduction were 91, 95, and 2001. On average, you get a 1 to 2% increase every year or decrease, one way or the other. In those specific years, you had a 10, 12, and a 14% increase. So now what we need to do is we need to go back and look at the UFO sightings in those areas for those years and see if they increased. It's the only way we can put this together. But like I said, you see one, run.
That's it. So, finished. Are you still there?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, the most interesting story in that was with the 5 people still strapped into their aircraft with the same injuries.
I think it was all interesting. I think it was all very disturbing, Paul, to be honest. And if you want a similarity to the actual wounds of the cattle mutilations, which I presume that we've all kind of seen at some stage, haven't we? Yeah. The stupid thing is stupid antivirus. Oh, never mind. It's okay. I think it's gone for the time being. You know, Paul, I don't think you do yourself any favors when you start chuckling at this kind of thing, because it's not funny. It could be happening, and if it is, it's damn well. It ain't amusing in any context. I can tell you that now.
Well, I think we'd have a lot more. I think we'd have a lot more of these bodies showing up every week if there's something major happening.
Maybe they are. They're quite conveniently covered up. Paul, where have you gone now? Have you picked up on my my link there?
No, you didn't say there was a link.
No,
I was looking at the gory pictures. I think there was a Brazil man that had some pictures off there.
Yeah, well, yeah, here they are.
I'm just going to
just drop them for you. So look away now, if you like.
Look away. Yeah, we're just looking at those black and white ones before.
3 days out in the heat. Nah, you shouldn't have been looking like that.
Well, if you watch Walking Dead, it's pretty much like this, right? Where they were torturing.
Look, Walking Dead is a fictional program, Paul. We're not talking about fiction here.
I think people are used to those images now.
Yeah, of course they should be if they're into this game. Yes.
Green writing on black. That's terrible. But
I mean, I don't think we have the time to read all that stuff out now. It's probably getting close to time to wrap up, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can see the wounds there quite clearly.
But again, it's very similar to the Russian incident.
Come on, that is not a serial killer, is it?
I don't know. What's that on his leg there?
Oh, Paul, removing the blood, sucking all the blood, removing the organs.
Yeah, but
cauterizing the wounds.
Yeah, but
that's a serial
But the
killer.
thing is, you don't know if the body was dumped there, right? So I don't know. You'd probably have to have a doctor's a second opinion on this sort of stuff, rather than just one person telling you.
Well, you've had the homicide detective's opinion, haven't you? And of course, a doctor isn't going to touch it with a 50-foot badge, Paul, is he? It's not going to be good for his career if he says this is of high strangeness and possibly alien. You know.
So you reckon the government ain't going to tell us about UFOs because this stuff is happening?
Oh, they can't tell you, could they? There's no possible way they could tell you if that was genuine. If that was genuine alien thing, they couldn't tell you that. Good God, man. You would be throwing a hand grenade through every window of every household on the planet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, all my advice is if you see a UFO and it's in close proximity, run like hell. That's the best thing to do because you don't know what they are. You don't know what the motive is. Modus operandi, unclear, not known.
The Predator.
You could end up like that guy there.
Like the Predator movie coming down. Yeah. What's his barbecued steak? Human.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, if you look at that body, they left quite a lot of it intact. So they took off one arm, is it? Or both arms? It might be both arms.
Well, no, we didn't remove the arms. The arms are all intact.
Is it? Oh, yeah, it might be too. We need a far away shot. Oh, yeah, there's an arm there.
I can see it clearly.
Yeah, arm there. I'll just zoom in on that one a wee bit. So his trousers there? His pants been pulled down?
I don't know. I think that's where they've put a kind of a mask over where the genitalia was. You know.
Oh no, they had that in full view above there. Kind of weird thing to do that though. Whoever is doing it is obviously very mental. If they're mental aliens, I don't know. Would you do that
well,
to?
I don't know. It could be an experiment because I wouldn't say it's mental.
Yeah, but if you turn it around,
more the procedure, you know.
If you turn it around, humans won't do that to other humans generally, and they won't certainly do it to other aliens. They won't go get an alien, strap him to a chair, and start sucking the blood out of him. And
I don't know, Paul. I think we're quite capable of doing some absolutely despicable things.
I don't think we'd have them alive. You kill the person, then you'd do the autopsy or whatever. You wouldn't
don't you know? You have to take into account that an alien race might see us just as like just little guinea pigs to them, and to do with what they like.
Cattle. But still, humans put down animals humanely now.
In how many countries is that?
You're not talking about Middle East doing it differently, are you? But anyway,
yeah, I'm not going to go into that animal cruelty because it gets me very angry.
Especially to dogs.
You're both call animal lovers, aren't we? So we don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, you want to know what you're eating that's been looked after properly before and dispatched properly.
But I mean, just look at. I mean, today, both of us have ate a pig that's been massacred at some stage, no matter how humanely, and we've ate it. Yeah, an alien race that's maybe, who knows how far more advanced than us, how they see us, and Jesus, man. All cards on the table, they might think of us as a tasty meal, or some of our genitalia and organs.
What I'm saying is that we at least instantly kill something by putting a thing through the brain called a bolt.
Yeah, okay.
And you're not seeing it on these abductions.
All that humane, dear. Is that all right? Is that okay? So sure.
Well, it's a lot better than.
Okay, I'll be getting old now. I'm just going to shove this pin right through your brain. You won't feel much. That's cool.
Well, it's better than being moored alive. Hang on, but being moored
old age.
Yeah, but being moored alive by a lion is a lot worse, right?
Oh, I don't know. I reckon I'd give a lion a good
humans...
go. Only for about 2 seconds.
Yeah. I think you can kill things instantly. But yeah.
But yeah, okay. I mean, that's the dark side of ufology, but it was worth looking into. It's not up to us to decide, whether this happened or not. It's up to the listener. And the only thing I'm going to say it again. If you do come across these things and in close proximity, get the hell out of there. Don't be a smart ass and try and move in closer and take pictures and take video and what have you, because you don't know how that's going to end. You just really don't. I mean, I'll never forget that sighting I had. I worked out on the map the next day. I was within 500 to 600 yards away from whatever the hell that was skimming across the water. And I knew at the speed it was traveling, it could have got to me in a second. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I was disturbed by it. And that was something that, to me, wasn't human tech, you know? I didn't like it being that. I didn't like it being that close. And it wasn't a complete panic, as you know, I just ran up the rocks, or climbed back up the rocks. I packed my gear in carefully, and both of us, there was two of us, by the way, we quickly made our way up after packing in record time, by the way. There was something suggestive about it that said, you don't want to be here. You know, when I used to work on the door, sometimes, you know, to try and stop bother and stuff, I didn't do it often. I did quit now. You know, you get a sense for when there's trouble, when something's going to happen. And I felt that same feeling that evening, you know, when I seen that. I just felt like, get the hell out of here. That was the feeling. I'm not easy, and I was never easily scared. Certainly not in that time.
So were you anal probe DNA?
No. Nah, no missed time on that occasion.
Maybe you had, and that's the reason why you suddenly awake and see the light moving off in the distance, and then get the hell out of there. So
no. It disappeared into a cove. It went into that cove, but it was still quite. Once it gone into that cove,
unless you got watches on, though. Unless you got watches on, you wouldn't know you had missing time or not, whether you've been deducted and then left.
Well, no, we didn't have watches on, no. But the time we'd been fishing, and by the time we got home, there didn't seem to be any. If there was any missing time, Paul, it must have been a small amount of time.
I think I asked Earl about anal probing, and I said, to me, anal probing was like a joke thing, or it sort of come from Whitley Strieber, I think it was, and I think. Hang on, you keep interrupting what I was saying. I asked Earl, and he said, "Well, if it's got anal probing, you can bet it's a made-up story because none of the cases or have anything to do with anal probing. It's always to do with the reproductive side of things, or blood taken, and implants." So yeah, where's the anal probing from? Whitley Strieber, right? Isn't it? I think that's where it comes from.
There's been many of the cases there.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think there has been many of the cases there.
Maybe made up ones, right? But not.
Yeah, exactly. You see a concurrent theme, and then you can run with it, can't you?
Because once someone comes out in a book says they're anal probed, then others copycat it, right? So it might be. How you could tell from a real case to a thing was
in my opinion, the best accounts never involve anal probing, Paul.
No, that's what I'm saying. What Il was saying anyway.
I agree entirely with you there.
But this coring out of the anus on
that dectomedia is bored out. Do you know what I mean? It's not the case of probing. It's bored out.
Yeah,
and in a very efficient way, it leaves a perfectly round hole, which is corticized as well.
So that makes no sense to me. Why anyone would want to do that with the?
Well, no, of course, because you're not thinking the same way as they think. Yeah, you're trying to think like a different species thinks.
Yeah, I know they used to use intestines.
It's difficult for me to sometimes think how my dog thinks. You know. So you're trying to work out how an alien species thinks. Well, good luck with that one, pal.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd core it though. You'd simply just slice them open and just cut the intestines out because that's where it leads.
So you're thinking like a human again?
I don't know. But anyway, What's the people in the side chat saying?
Run like hell. Yep, agreed.
So, yeah, animal beasts. Yeah, they should stop cooking up dogs and cats in other countries, for starters. Run, Forrest, run.
Yeah, and
run,
you see,
Rob.
Joe Briggs was saying now, like, I was just coming to the car would trample a few humans, no problem. So I can guarantee you that. I'm surrounded by the damn things, and you don't want to get too close to them. Do you know, there's no way a cow would stand around when he gouged its eyeballs out. It would have to be paralyzed by some kind of thing. And if it was upright for the tissue to run down into its nostrils, then it was obviously upright, wasn't it? That's forensic evidence, and that, you know, that's hardcore evidence. Some of these injuries are not pleasant to look at. It doesn't bother me. But you know, it's funny. Just a few days before I decided to do this, I had a nightmare about human mutilations, and I wasn't even looking at it at the time.
Right.
And I thought, oh God, that could be a good theme for next week's show.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty unpleasant viewing, isn't it? But the body should be bloated. This is the whole thing. 3 days out in the heat.
Okay, but
and that one with Lovett should have been the same.
If it was
wasn't the case.
If it was put in a refrigerator, though, not frozen, would it still be different? Probably not. I think if it was put in a fridge and then someone dumped it, that would explain it. So this is why you need like a second opinion on the cases, not just 1, 2, or 3, maybe 5 people on it.
Trying to get people on side is such a difficult thing, isn't it? It's like ufologists trying to get science on side for a long time now. Now, eventually, it's kind of coming that way a little bit, and then more and more people are commenting about it without the fear of ridicule. But they're still a bit flaky coming out, you know. There's still that thing, that stigma is still there at this point, you know. And I think it's going to take another 10, 20 years, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hope you're not using Google for that. Oh my God, Paul, why are you still using that stupid search engine?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Google.
No, but DuckDuckGo is a hell of a lot better when you're looking at fringe topics like this.
Daily Mail.
Oh, come on. What are you doing?
Just having a search.
Daily Mail is not trustworthy whatsoever. It's a tabloid. It's a bad one.
It seems to say the same things. There's some cows. Now we've seen that map before. That was on the other report we looked at. So it seems similar to what we'd looked at already, and it's got Linda Moulton Howe there. It seems to me if you're just gonna take parts of an animal, why not just take all of it? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense to us.
Yeah, I don't think we've got enough information on it.
No, we haven't got enough information. You can't deny it's happening.
It's a conspiracy. Human.
Yeah, sure.
What's that one saying? Human.
Yeah, it's all predators.
What's that one? Right. That's what we just listened to too. Okay, second one.
Yeah, but I'll say one thing now, and this point, it's quite an important point, really. Now, these cattle that have been mutilated, predators won't go near them. For some reason, they won't go near them. Now, there's been some occasions where it's happened in North America, Canada, where there's been snow on the ground, and they can see predators like coyotes. They've gone within so many meters of the carcass that's been dumped, and they've got within a certain range, and have turned on their heels and gone back. And they can clearly see the prints in the snow. Now, how do you explain that? Now, coyote isn't fussy, is it? But yeah, for some reason, another thing that comes to mind is the Untitled Pass. Where the dogs wouldn't even get out the helicopter, the cadaver dogs and the tracking dogs, they wouldn't get out the helicopter. They had to drag them out.
Yep. And what do you think that is? The smell or
dogs have got
infrasound?
A sense that we haven't got.
Yeah, I was just saying. Is it smell or infrasound? But yeah, it's strange that there's a cookie. If there's a cookie cutter wounds that are symmetrical, that's kind of weird.
And cortisized as well, Paul.
But we know that they do scoop marks from abductees, right? They do take a big chunk of flesh out of you as well. But yeah, you can see there's not really much. It's almost the same sort of stuff repeated.
Yeah.
So they're calling it satanic cult. Maybe they're satanic aliens.
Oh, look, The Independent. Oh, no, that's a decent newspaper.
Okay.
You missed the one I was looking at.
Yeah, I know. Kansas researchers, Stanley and Coral Post. Did we talk about them? I don't think we did.
No, I have no idea who they are.
So there's been 10,000 cattle, they reckon. I didn't think it was that much. I think
it's still happening, but there's a scary thing that's going on, which kind of suggests it could be a give up. That there's absolutely no cases of cattle mutilations in Asia whatsoever, as far as we know. But because maybe there's no reporting network there, is there?
Yes. Yeah, October 2019. I'm just repeating the same stories.
Yeah.
But it's not.
You see, this is quite, The Independent. This is quite a reliable newspaper, to be honest. But they'll probably ask you to sign up now before you can read any more of it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not.
They're still happening in the UK to this day, you know.
Yeah.
But you see that you can clearly see now that bull is, I think it's a bull, is it a cow? I'm not sure. It's bloated, isn't it? It's been there a while. But it's bored out. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's got this funny squiggle pattern thing on the screen at the moment. What's that one? Yeah, so Unsolved Mystery. Who's Killing Cows? 2001, so that's an old one. So it's cows, not bulls, they're saying here. So,
well, no. I mean, it's there's actually been cases, where UFOs have been seen lifting cattle off the ground. That there was one case in the States where it was an elk, and this UFO didn't seem too sophisticated because it was trying to drag the elk up actually through a tree, and the elk was screaming. It was witnessed by 12 different people, and it ended up dropping the damn thing back on the ground. It broke its legs and it had to be put down, and there was 12 witnesses to that, and there was 3 different people, 3 different families. That was a bit clumsy, wasn't it? Not too sophisticated, if that account was to be believed. I don't know, but it's there.
Okay, Oregon cattle killings. What's it saying? Broken leg. Right chance to discover 4 more dead bulls this time.
Yeah, so, I mean, you just kind of going round in circles now, Paul.
There were no wounds, no signs of strangle. And bulls' genitals and tongues had been carefully removed.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's always a clean incision.
Why the tongue, though? I can understand taking the genitals,
but it's always the tongue. And it was like another one of those victims that off past had the tongue removed, didn't it?
Perhaps they eat tongue and the genitals are for their research. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know, but it ain't nice.
What did detectives say? Have turned up no leads. How someone put bulls on the ground at what would be arguably fairly close range, and to do it in a way that they didn't leave any signs, no trace, evidence or footprints, no strangle marks from the animal, no broken limbs. Have no idea. So I wonder if we got some pictures. Across the western 70s. Probably need to reduce the size. Leave it. UFOs to natural deaths. Scavengers. Anything else for now is speculation. Yeah, that's my problem with it. Assumptions, speculations. Oscam's razor, including ideas of what might have killed a bull without leaving marks. Marshall said he wonders if the killer used poison darts. But then why would you want to take the testicles only? These are very sick and dangerous individuals. Well, Robert thinks they might be aliens. Okay, so 40 minutes north of the country has put up a 25,000 reward for information. Well, I suppose bulls are worth a lot of money, especially if they're breeding bulls, right? Now, what's the normal bull sell for nowadays? Quite a lot of money once you carve it up and sell the meat, right? So I wonder if there's any other animals that have been mutilated in the same way. Sheep. I don't know, goats, llamas,
yeah,
horses.
There's been lots of other animals mutilated in the same way, you know. There was a case of many seals in the UK, you know. Listen, I think we're killing the conversation a little bit now. I think it's time to wrap up. But yeah, there's been many different species that have been mutilated that way.
That's quite a long article, this one. Taking down a 2,000-pound bull was no easy feat. Yeah, I'd like to see that charging towards an alien. Because they charge humans for those big horns they have as well. Aren't they called longhorns in Texas? You want one of those rammed up your bum. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty much repeating similar stuff we've heard.
Yeah.
So what did the bunkers say? I suppose.
Oh, they'll blame it all on predators, of course. Which is fair game, in a way, because what predators do, they'll go for the eyeballs first, and they'll go for the genitalia because that's soft as well. You see.
Oh, here's your.
They'll go for anything that's soft that's easily edible.
Here's the guy you love, but it's not written by Dunnan. It's by Alison Hudson, whoever that is. Maybe a simpler explanation than alien experimentation. So what they're going to say? It's 3 in the morning, the cattle ranch somewhere in Texas. Bessie the cow is half asleep, mindless chewing cud, her ears twitching, says the story. So what's the bottom line is what we're after.
Yeah, but you see now how straight away this article is trying to put light on it. Yeah?
Trying to make it into a kid's story, you think?
Yeah, come on. If you can't see through that when you've got learning difficulties, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this the viewer count keeps jumping up and down.
Conspicuous absence of blood is another common feature. Always the witnesses claim there are no footprints, tire tracks, or scavenger prints leading either towards or away from the body. The death is a mystery, and foul play of some kind is assumed. Oh, come on. Stop the stupid drama. Just get on with the facts, because that's when they struggle.
Well, I'm trying to find
this
the facts.
Is all a load of stylistic padding. That's what they call it.
Yeah, but what's the simpler explanation here?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they'll get to it eventually. That it was just predators. Oh, Satanists, hippies, and lunatics. Well, I can tell you now, Satanists getting out to a farm. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah, if you're 4 or 5 Satanists, yeah, and you want to sacrifice a cow, good luck with that one, pal. Because I tell you what, yeah, that cow is one big beast, and it'll run over you all. It'll trample you to death. If that's their conclusion,
I don't know. There's a lot of.
Do you know a cow weighs about a ton? Do you think you can disable a cow?
2,000 pounds.
And cut it to pieces.
Not if you watch those survival programs. It takes them quite a long time to carve up an animal. A few hours at least.
But no capturing it in the first place, Paul.
They're quite easily spooked.
Quite easily spooked, yeah. And they'll run right over you if you spook them too much. I live for the damn things.
Okay, we got concluded here. The mutilations are the work of scavenger animals, mainly coyotes and birds. Mutilations occur after the animal has died, and any investigation of bizarre gross findings in dead cattle must be ruled out, scavenging beyond any reasonable doubt before proceeding to investigate on other possibilities. Not much actual scientific study of mutilations film has been published since then, because science doesn't really much have more to say on the matter. The opinions of learned studies means little to true believers. However, today's stories of mutilations still make headlines on some news sites, though often relegated to sections of weird news. Yeah, you'd have to be really sure that there was no blood. I think the Chris O'Brien one of Martin's show, I got it here somewhere, where he's talking about mutilations. There's a good one to go and have a look at.
Well, he thinks it's some kind of black ops things, but he thinks most of them are most of the cases of predators. But he reckons there's that few percent that are definitely not, and they definitely have been airlifted and they've been dropped. And
let's see if we can find it. Here we go.
YouTube. Yeah, you're gonna have to find his show then, aren't you? So you're not gonna be able to play much of that.
I think that might be the one. Or it could be another one. November 2016. Maybe it's an older one.
Probably. Yeah, he came back on after this one, but still, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
We'll post that one. Yeah, I don't think I've listened to all of them either.
But I'm not convinced of his black ops either. You know, that just doesn't make sense to me. Why they'd do that, you know? They could be looking at oh God, what's it called? BCE, which is basically mad cow disease, isn't it? Oh God, hold on, BCE. Oh my God, let me try and say this now. Okay, bovine, spongiform and palopathy. Okay, I'm not going to say that again. I'm not even going to try that again. But it's BSC, bovine spongiform philopathy. In other words, mad cow disease. They could be looking at that. But I mean, good God, we had an outbreak of that in Wales, you know, well, in the UK in general, especially in Wales, and a lot of the cattle had to be killed. And it was a great shame. And they had to burn them, you know, on big bonfires and what have you. But if they were looking for that, there's other ways of doing it rather than airlifting them and all that kind of thing, you know. So I don't place a tremendous amount of faith in Chris O'Brien's opinion on this as a black ops thing. Just buy the cattle up, damn it, you know.
Yeah, I don't think that was. I'm trying to find the second one. Must have gone past it. Probably have to search on it here. O'Brien or Chris. Should narrow it down. I think it was this one. In the studio, he went to visit Martin, didn't he? Stayed up his place. Crazy people talking about Linda Molden Hill, I think. That one was a good one. I think let's have a quick listen. If it will play.
Chris O'Brien is a UFO believer.
He talked over it. Yeah, hang on.
Will not have to rely on people's, doing favors for me or, dragging their feet. It's been a 12-year process of relying on people's, doing you favors, and I just would rather go out there with a budget, and be sitting there tapping my foot, looking at my watch while people are, getting paid to do what needs to be done, and that is to climb towers and get these things in.
Yeah. Speaking of projects and funding and all that, I'm just wondering if any listener that hears this knows any updates on the CubeSat. The CubeSat was supposed to be launched. They raised, I think, $20,000 through a fund situation.
Whereabouts was he talking about? Open transcripts. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, Control F. Blood. Let's see. About the blood. Levels of copper in the cattle's blood. Mad cow disease. So he's talking about it there. Let's just listen to a chunk there.
Found is that radiation in the environment and levels of copper in the cattle's blood can kick off mad cow disease more prevalent. It could be more prevalent in animals that have been grazing on with residual radiation in their environment. So the combination of copper and radiation in the environment makes cattle more prone to developing misfolded proteins or prions.
Wow. Now, going back to the San Luis Valley, I lived in Colorado for 3 years, but it was.
Okay, so that wasn't the bit in blood that we wanted.
You want to stop that, Paul?
Drained of blood. Here we go.
Paul,
what?
I've got to call bullshit on that. So I can tell you now, mad cow disease, ain't going to wipe out nobody. It'll wipe out a few cattle. It can be passed on to people. But it ain't no big global threat, I can tell you that now. It ain't nice. But it's there's no way the government would be airlifting cattle out of ranches to test for BCE.
Right.
No chance. This guy is, I've never heard that before. The guy, now I've got less respect for the guy than I ever had. That's full of shit.
No, he's saying that the environment with copper and radiation is enough to trigger...
is creating, mad cow disease, BCE. Nah, he's a conspiracy theorist. He's a fruitcake.
Right, let's keep on listening. Let's have a listen.
That's absolute bollocks.
Shush.
Cutting implements. Not many animals are drained of blood, for instance. There's the popular misconception that all these animals are drained of blood and that aliens are gathering blood and fluids for hybridization of their dying race and stuff.
Can I stop you right there on one thing about the blood? That is something you do hear a lot. People talk about that, but I want to ask you: is it because naturally blood will settle to the bottom?
Yeah, exactly. It's called gravity.
That's what's happening, right?
Yeah, I don't know how many cases I went out and the rancher says, "Oh yeah, they're draining this thing of blood," and I go, "Yeah, well, here, help me out," and we'll flip the thing over and whoosh, it'll all come out. If you cut into the meat and the meat is slightly pink, but mostly gray, then the animal's been drained of blood. Now, I have had some cases where the animal's been drained of blood, but they're rare in the exception. The whole idea that aliens are coming to drain animals of blood and all this is to me is ludicrous. If they wanted that, why don't they just pick the lock on a slaughterhouse and go in at night and there's vats and vats of blood in there? It just does. It's to me, the alien theory is sensational. It's mystery mongering. We don't have the data to back it up. There's no evidence whatsoever to support that particular conclusion. But we have a ton of evidence to support the conclusion that humans are involved. How about all the cases where 400 plus helicopter reports have been filed, or the cases where animals have been shot with firearms and mutilated, or cases where we've had barbiturates, coagulants, anticoagulants, mescaline in one case in Arkansas, nicotides, all kinds of different types of drugs and other foreign substances have been found when these animals have been when they've done workups on these animals. So there's a huge body of evidence that supports any other conclusion that has human beings attached to it.
Another question?
So there you go. So he doesn't believe.
Yeah, that's interesting. That if they've found foreign bodies of chemicals in the blood that have been used to pacify the cattle before the mutilations began, you know. That's interesting.
I was trying to find the bit where he's talking about how many...
And he's done hard research. I mean, I haven't. That's interesting. You've got to take that into account. But why are you saying why don't we go to a slaughter factory? Well, it's not. You're not talking about a live animal, and if they want the blood. But you see, he actually said there was some cases where the cattle were completely drained of blood. Now, only one has to be veal, and then we have an issue. Then we got a problem, you know. And of course, gravity will take the blood, turn the cattle over, and yes, the blood flows, of course. But I'm not really falling for.
Okay, let's have another
listen. It's his narrative, you see.
Skillful excisions, but done by sharp cutting implements. Not many animals are drained of blood, for instance. There's the popular misconception that all these animals are drained of.
I've heard that bit before. I thought that was going to talk about.
Yeah, but it's worth playing again because he says some of them are okay.
Yeah,
so what happened to those some? He's not trying to explain that, is he?
If they do take it out, if they zap it with a particle beam weapon or a laser or something like that, that means that we found something, and all we have to do is go back and look at our data and see what it is that got them all nervous.
Well, that harkens back to the Paul Benowitz case in a way.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, that's what happened to him.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
screwed with him, you know, because he was seeing something. Maybe it had nothing to do with UFOs, but it definitely had something to do with a very strong interest.
Well, I think he was picking up.
You were going to do that case too, weren't you, Paul Benowitz?
Paul Benowitz, we can. Well, yeah. As you know, I've been in touch with Richard Doty recently, and he's a charming man. But God, he's not a man I'd like to get on the wrong side of, I can tell you. But yeah, we can do that case if you like. But you know what? I think what he was about to say there is it was over Kirtland Air Force Base, the Benowitz case, and of course he got on the wrong side of the Air Force, U.S. Air Force, OSI, Office of Special Investigations, and Richard Doty was the man who actually held a meeting with Benowitz among him and other agents.
Okay, let's have a listen to this.
Yeah, it didn't turn out well for Benowitz.
Yeah, let's have a listen to this.
Understanding that correctly?
That's what the popular perception is because of the efforts of Linda Moulton Howe and Chuck Zukowski, Margie Kay, and others that have been touting this explanation as the go-to rationale for these cattle to be discovered in the shape that they're discovered in. And I disagree. I've looked at all the data that's available, and the cases that you can even equate weird lights or some sort of craft, or just, maybe 10% at the most. The other 90% are, in my estimation, done by humans, very, very skillful excisions, but done by sharp cutting implements. Not many animals are drained of blood, for instance. There's, of course, the popular misconception that all these animals are drained.
It's like saying 95% of UFO cases are Venus, weather balloons, other explainable things, misidentified aircraft. What about the other 5%, pal? They're the ones we need to be looking at. So is he talking about the ones? Come on, what's he going to say now?
Approach George Knapp, and however that whole disclosure of those Area 51 secrets came out, my eyes glaze over when I hear the name Bob Lazar or Richard Doty or some of these people. I'm into really trying to get to the bottom of this stuff by exercising.
I was trying to find stuff on Linda Moulton. I mentioned.
Oh, she's an idiot. We know that.
He doesn't.
Come on, Paul.
He doesn't like her too much. This guy.
Well, no. He reckons that he's got his own agenda, his own his own book to push as well. Apparently, you don't like these people who write books, Paul. Well, don't forget this guy's wrote one as well. And he's been on many a TV show pushing his book. Yeah? So what's his agenda?
He mentioned about 5.
And he seems to be ignoring that 5% where it can't be explained. And he's blaming it on the government. Well, yeah, okay, but I find that. How many times have I said it tonight? I'm not going to say it again. I think if any of these intelligence agencies, any of these alphabet agencies, wanted to buy up some cattle to test them, they could quite easily do it without flying black helicopters around all over the place and airlifting cattle from ranchers' herds. Honestly, I think it's crap.
Okay, let's look
garbage.
Let's see if this is the bit I'm looking for.
History, the methane caused by raising beef. Now, tell me if I'm wrong that you said there's up to 300 cows in a single McDonald's hamburger. Did you say that?
Well, they admit to 100, but there's been some studies that would suggest.
There's one where he talks about how many cows are suspicious. So let's see.
Hold on a minute. What the hell are they talking about there? How many cows in a McDonald's?
Well,
who gives a flying F? How many cows in a McDonald's? I mean, he's not really helping the subject, is he?
Well, let's just see.
Look at him.
Black Ops, anything? No. I'm pretty sure he talked about Black Project. What was that one about? Probably talking about another subject. But hang on, we'll just see. It is actually quite a good interview. Just go and listen to it all, I suppose, properly.
Black Project Craft as well.
To it.
If you want to, get into all that kind of stuff, you got to read my books because I'm a little reluctant to talk about the government stuff on the air.
Plug in. Okay, so there was a bit where he's talking about truck.
Plug. Let's believe Chris O'Brien. Don't believe Linda Moulton Howe. Because she's full of shit. Yeah, believe me instead. Nah, I don't believe any of these guys. I'm sorry, I don't. I look at the evidence, yeah. Come on, Chris O'Brien, if you're so sure, yeah. Let's explain those 5% of cattle that are drained of blood.
Okay, let's have a look.
They've got the anus bored out. The jaw's removed. The flesh around the
jaw.
Could have
done. It happened with somebody dumping dead cows out the back of a pickup truck.
Let's explain that, please.
They looked like they'd been dropped in a pile. There was 3 or 4 cows and a horse.
And a horse.
Yeah.
Wow. Not Snippy.
No. Snippet
right.
was back in '67. This is '94, I think.
So I listened to your show on Greg Bishop's Radio Mysterioso. I'm a fan of his show. I really enjoy it, and I suggest anyone to check it out. It's really
talking about broken bones, but I can't seem to find it. But it's there somewhere. It's well worth going and have a listen to that one. It's on the site anyway. But anyway, we better start wrapping up. I think. What's this Occam's razor? Okay, I saw that applies.
Occam's razor, Paul. You know what Occam's razor is, surely, don't you?
I know what it is.
The simplest explanation is often the best. That's a quick definition of Occam's razor.
The least assumptions made on an experiment is probably the one that's more favoured as well. Insert any cult, conspiracy, and celebrity chef into the mix. So yeah, this ain't serious at all. The skeptic.
The skeptoid.
Sort of making fun of it.
Yeah, this is if they can't attack the data, they use humour and ridicule.
Well, I think Chris O'Brien attacked it a wee bit there with the blood.
I'm sorry, if you can't see through that kind of article, then you require some little bit of help.
Okay, what's Rational Wiki say?
Oh my God, what do you think it's going to say, Paul?
I don't know, but you can bet that Google is going to put a Wikipedia link to it under the video once it's completed. Well, it's like David Icke here mentioned. So natural causes, human causes. The Wu concluded that most mutilation incidents were the result of natural deaths, predation. So that's what the FBI report said, and that's basically
but even then it says includes anomalies that were not explainable.
How many of those were there?
It doesn't matter. Only one has to be true.
Yeah. Okay, so.
See, they're taking the mick out of them. Now they're quite right. Woo journalist Linda Moulton Howe. But you see, they're using the same tactics again. And I just feel for you if you cannot see through like the likes of this wiki thing. It's so politicized, it's unbelievable.
Copies of FBI documents. Have we got copies of those? Let's have a look.
Yeah, if there was nothing to it, why the hell were the FBI looking into it in the first place? I mean, that's a good question, isn't it?
Documents? So the documents
I think you'd have to go into the black vaults and have a look at that. You know, they're going back through. This is one of the first publicized cases in '67, but they were actually happening from they'd actually been reported centuries ago, you know, and they started in the modern Western world in the late 19th century. So, and they escalated in the 70s for some reason. I don't really know why. None of us do.
Showing high or low levels of vitamins. Well, it's either going to be one or the other, isn't it? It's either going to be high, normal, or low. So they're saying it excludes normal levels of vitamins, is what they're saying. Which is kind of strange.
I don't know. I can't see all the whole sentence here, Paul. It's the font's too large for me to read it all.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got it in a bit now. Brilliant.
I was trying to find these documents of these unknown cases. That's probably more interesting for what we want here. but I'm not sure if I can find it. Codes. No. It's going to be here somewhere, though, isn't it? It's quite a big write-up. I see Chris O'Brien was mentioned here. I think I just saw his name.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh.
That during 6 to 8 months when Rommel was actively investigating. So what's that talking about?
Normal predator and scavenger activity. Yeah, well, of course, I mean, you have to look at those cases when there was snow about, when the predators approached, got within a certain range, and just turned back. They realised there was something wrong with that particular cadaver.
Black helicopters.
Yeah.
That's something you haven't mentioned about black helicopters.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Happens all the time.
I think Chris talks about it in that thing. I forgot. I didn't see it though.
Does.
Yeah, I didn't see the FBI documents on it. Cattle Mutilations, FBI unknowns. Someone's probably summarized it somewhere. Oh, here we go. Black Vault might have it. All right.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's nothing to see here, folks. Just go home.
Just one page.
Yeah. But the animal mutation is 4 of 5, 3 of 5.
Can't even read what it says.
Because you can, you'll have to blow it up.
I know. No, there should be more than this. 32 pages reviewed. 32 pages available. It says 19.
And of course, that's just one agency, Paul.
Yeah, I was hoping someone had summarized the ones that they couldn't debunk as natural. That's the ones we're interested in.
Well, you see, the thing is, what you expect the FBI to do? They're not going to tell you it's real, are they? You know, that it's aliens.
You can see they cut out newspaper clippings and include it into the files quite regularly. You see?
Yeah, they do that all the time.
Oh, another newspaper clipping. It's very small writing though. Gun happy what? Trans? No. Can't quite see that word. Gun happy.
I can't see it from my end.
Gun happy frame of mind developing in eastern Colorado. Helicopter inventory. Yeah, it's a bit hard to read all that. That's too much for me. It's not the nicest fonts they use.
No, of course, it's a document, Paul. You can't expect it to be in a readable format.
Yeah. Well, we can put that down there, the Black Vault link to it, and people.
Yeah, sure, yeah. People can go over that in their own time if they like, but I can tell you now, you won't get anything much out of them.
If you can find those unknown cases, that's the ones we want to actually really focus on. If 90.
Oh yeah, I mean,
90%
yeah, sure.
explained.
I mean, you can find them. I could leave that for another time, but I think we've pretty much kicked it to death.
Yeah, it's time to wrap up
as best we can today. But of course, I was looking at the human side more than the cattle side, and there was a few good cases there. And you know, if any of them were true, it's very disturbing.
I'll probably have to update the description to include the animal ones at the end here. But I think,
sure.
I think we've sort of talked it to death now.
Yeah. No. We'll keep them going till next week. Any suggestions ever, guys? If you want to leave it on the side chat, leave it on Discord. Anything you'd like us to cover, if we think it's even half credible, I'll take a look at it anyway. I'm the UFO guy kind of thing, like, you know. pause attack guy. So anything you'd like to leave is if it's a UFO case or anything UFO related, I'll take a look and I promise I'll spend time on it.
All right. So I'll say good night now and wrap up the credits. Good night. Oh, we've not really had too many people on today, have we?
It's been consistent.
Same as yesterday, pretty much. I think it's been pretty bad. You'd think more people would be interested in this sort of stuff. So yeah, what's the stats on this? I actually haven't got it up here. Reckons we've only had 85 people pass by today. But that counter was going up and down quite a lot all day.
Yeah.
19 minutes watch time, they reckon, average, so that's not too bad.
That's not bad at all.
We'll see what the final stats come out. It normally comes out a bit better when from what it says there. It's never consistent with Google.
I mean, it's not bad for us, I mean.
Yeah.
Well.
Thanks for liking, sharing, and comment after the live, after show, whatever. But anyway, get this alien up and wind down the credits. I got to get this headset off. It's driving me crazy.
Oh, tell me, but I'm going to get off mine now as well, Paul.
Here we go. Okay. Good night, Kiwi.